That's it. We are live. It is boys' night today. Today is Tuesday, the 8th of January, 2018. We are going to be a full panel. We're going to be Ted and me and Patricia. I'm sure me and Patricia will be quite quiet. But anyway, good evening, chat room, everybody in the chat room. So, on the panel is Kosta.
Hi.
Do you want to say hello, Kosta?
Good evening, everybody.
Nicolas.
Happy New Year.
All right, everyone.
Robin, Liftin The Lid.
Good evening, everybody. How are you doing?
Jin.
Good evening, everybody. How you doing, everyone in the chat room?
Jason.
Hi all.
And we've got Flat Earth Dude.
All the young dudes hanging out tonight.
Hey.
And we're waiting for to come on Trinity 4 and Adam from I'm Realm Media. So it's going to be a packed evening with the boys. So where do we start then?
Come on then. Come on then.
I heard Earth is flat. Let's start there.
Okay. Seems flat, right?
All right.
Flat.
Flat as a pancake.
Really flat. It's not moving.
Not moving.
Hello. That's it. All right. Check.
It's really great that we're having it's not really the first boys' night in a sense because it's usually full of boys, but as a theme on our hangout, the first boys hangout.
Sure.
So it's really great that so many of you can be here.
Thanks for having us on your channel, Karen.
Yeah, Karen, it's awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh,
Karen.
it's a pleasure. Well, Sun and Moon is all about the people, isn't it? Without you lot, there is no panel. So it's you lot. So thank you very much.
No, likewise.
Well, what do you want to start talking about, boys? Or do you want to just sort of chitty chat till the others come on, or just go for it?
I don't know.
We've all gone quiet.
I mean, if it's okay. Sorry. Go on, Nicolas.
Oh no. The first one.
That's
I don't know what we
thing
were talking about earlier.
We'll have to take.
I've got a bit of news, Karen. It's nothing to do with the main things that we're going to talk about, but I've got a bit of news. I've got a website called ProveTheGlobe.com and a little video that accompanies that, and it's been attracting quite a bit of attention. I had 4 or 5 so-called Globers approach me to kind of prove the globe, which is half the reason for that website and the video that I produced. And I've had 2 good conversations. One was from one of the, I would call them the other side, who are very much Simon Dan camp. And we had a private hangout, and the guy did his best to prove the globe. And I give him some credit. He had some good points. He had a mountain range and some heights he wanted to prove to me. And his maths were pretty sound, and his logic was pretty sound. And we had a very civil conversation. It didn't escalate. It didn't get nasty. It just was a nice conversation. And what I'm now planning to do is just to bring in some help from people who know a little bit more about some of the arguments, like line of sight and perspective and all those things. And we're going to produce a response video. But more excitingly, there was a second guy that approached me, and he's a very genuine, honest physics postgrad. He's an honest degree physics postgrad living in Prague. And his idea was to simulate or emulate the Aristophanes experiment, and with his argument being that the furthest shadow on a globe should accelerate off and grow longer quicker than the second shadow would behave on a flat plane. And I kind of think there's some mileage in that. So what's happening is I'm sending his idea, which I recorded, off to Dr. John Dee. Is everyone familiar with him?
Yeah.
Yes.
So Dr. John Dee has actually got some great news to announce very shortly, which is he's got an experiment due on the 2nd of Feb. And it's going to be in Brighton and Hove, and it's all about, long sight, visibility and everything. But we're going to hold back some of the big breaking news on that one because he himself is really throwing down the gauntlet here, and it needs to come from him. as to how he's going to do that. But what was interesting is this physician from Prague is very much open to involving flat earthers, physics people, scientists, anyone who's willing to help. And the principle and the premise for this is to set up something where the first call it building come flagpole, whatever you choose to use, where you're sitting with the sun directly above you, would constitute your baseline. So maybe someone in Africa or over the equator could do that shadow measurement, and then you do a number of consecutive measurements in northern bound destinations as you go up towards the UK. So you might have one in Portugal, in France, and in the UK, taking measurements as you go at the same time of day. And the idea being the furthest one away should have a much greater acceleration due to the geometry, which you can figure out. So if you know your distances and the height of the, let's call it a wooden pole, you would know the heights and the shadows and therefore the geometry. And you could figure out, knowing your baseline in Africa, you could figure out where the sun should be. And you can also figure out, going furthest away, if there was a rate of drop due to curvature, that furthest away shadow should accelerate greater than it would do. Hey, there's Dave. Accelerate greater. Hey, if you were the further north. So, Karen, the principle of this is, should we engage with Dr. John Dee? It would be great to have someone like him with his caliber, monitoring, controlling, and taking the governance over this experiment and involving this guy, because he seems to be genuinely interested in the truth. He told me, I'm currently a Glober, but my genuine interest is to follow the truth. So I'm really excited about that, because that's the kind of conversation I wanted to prompt with this website. And who knows where it'll lead. I will keep you all posted, because I think that's a worthy exercise, even if it's quite challenging. I think the only sort of problems or challenges, if you like, lining up people in the right locations who are willing to run outside with the same height wooden pole, let's call it, and all at the same time take the measurement. But I think it sounds like a valid experiment. So we'll be talking to Dr. John Dee next week, and we'll run it past him then.
How is that measurement taken? Is it done with like a sextant or anything? Is that needed?
Well, I think, Jason, if you stick your pole in the ground and you can measure the length of the shadow, and
it's real simple.
And you've taken the baseline, which is the vertical one where there's no shadow, you kind of know that the sun is right above you at that point. Okay. And you move away, and knowing the given distance between the baseline and all the northerly points going up to the UK, you can then determine either how far the sun is away, because you've now got some geometry, you've now got some isosceles triangles to work with. Yes. And you can also see the acceleration of that shadow move away from you. And if you're on a globe and we know the circumference, we ought to be able to calculate, is that rate of growth due to curvature, or is it just going in the distance we would expect on a flat plane, because we're still on an isosceles triangle?
Right.
I quite like it.
Can I ask a question, Bobby? So if the Earth is a sphere, the shadow moves quicker, does it?
Well, what I mean is
on a flat plane.
I mean the length of the shadow will grow at a greater rate the further we go north than it would do if we were on a plane, where it would be.
On a plane, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, because it would be a known distance that you grow. I think it's a valid experiment, and if someone is earnestly seeking the truth and they don't have an ulterior motive and they want to obfuscate and hide behind their YouTube channels, then I think that's great, because he's willing to maybe not come out of the shadows, but certainly be a conduit, because he's brought the idea up and he's just interested in seeing the outcome of the experiment. So I don't mind being the catalyst for that. And yeah, go for it, Jason.
No. I was just waving for.
Hey, just 1 minute. Adam's just joining. So should we? That's it. Well, the last person.
Hi, Adam. Good evening, Adam.
So hi.
I got my polls ready.
Your polls ready.
You see that?
So I yield the floor, Karen. I yield the floor.
I got my wooden pole.
Yeah, man, I got my broom handle ready.
We
I'm
have an
ready to do it.
8 on here. Probably take hands, aren't we?
All right, he's showing
My panel's frozen now.
Oh,
All right,
everybody's
there. Yeah, my panel.
I got out of my car.
And
this pole's laying in the dirt here, so I stuck it in the dirt. I'm ready to go. Such a, you know what I love about,
dude.
What I love about the experiment is it's relatively inexpensive to do.
Well, yeah.
It's just time and a little bit of effort, man. It can be done so easily with these hangouts and everything. We could do it all live, you know, and record it all and measure everything and see, you know, everybody's paid
on the tour.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing I like about it is thing I like about it is it just removes refraction from the equation. Yeah. And when he first started talking about we need to look up to avoid the situation of refraction, I thought, oh, here we go. We're talking about distances to the sun and the moon. But actually, no, he does have a point. His experiment actually, I think, would be a fairly good metric to see, you know, have we got a rate of drop or not. And
I just think some long distance photography just proves it.
Yeah, me too. Don't get me wrong.
You know, G Tolan, whatever his name is, his photography is phenomenal. I mean, it just blows it out the water, doesn't it?
The J Tolan?
J Tolan, yeah.
Yeah. That his last one is right over where I live. So I know all the landmarks he's talking about. I've been to all of them, and yeah, that was absolutely fantastic IR camera. That 23 megapixels or 24 or something.
Something like that. Wow.
So without that infrared part of it all, can you not see the mountains then? I mean, like, are people?
No, yeah, you can't see the mountains.
On a super clear day, you can. Yes.
Okay.
It was a super clear day that day, so he used just the IR. I think he had the other, just a regular camera going as well, but. Yeah, it would have been nice to see him side by side.
Yeah, we need more of this, and not just by J Tolan. We need more of this from around the world. You know, like these infrared images of these long distance mountains. We need a lot more of it.
For sure.
Yeah.
I wish I'd had camera like that back in 1984 when I was in the Himalayan foothills. I tell you. Oh.
Yeah.
Wow. I'll have to do a trip back there one day.
That could be the next tour, you know, around the place. Days.
I think what Robin's saying as well with that experiment, or that talking to that person, I think we're everybody's getting ready for that. We want more now, don't we?
Yeah.
We want more moving forward.
Yeah.
I think it's possible. If you don't come across as too aggressive or challenging or just in it for the fight, as in, you know, you want to lock horns and just cause a problem. Yeah. I do think people do, you know, they want to know. There are those people out there.
Absolutely. I agree.
So how are you doing, Dave? You all right?
You looking all cool?
Yeah, I'm good. I fell asleep. I went to put John to sleep, and I fell asleep with him.
No, that's lovely, man.
So I woke up at 9 o'clock.
Nah, don't worry. We'll leave you till you've roused a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, cheers.
No nice worries. To see you, Dave. Nice to
see you, man.
Thanks, guys. Nice to be here. Thank you.
Adam.
Yeah.
How you doing,
fella? Well, there's so much happening with a lot of you on this panel today. I was wondering maybe we should go down the panel, and because obviously everybody's helping each other, doing conferences. There's a lot happening, isn't there, guys? And there's also obviously there's the Globe Live tour again. So on my panel, I'm a flat dude. I'll come at Jason. You start then. What are you up to? What's been going on?
Well, yeah, we've just had our premiere. We it kind of started off. Oh God, it was this only come together in about a week so far. Someone accidentally posted that we're having the UK and Euro Flat Earth Conference, and tour, and this was organised by Jason. And I thought, hang on, what's going on there? I read it wrong or something. I thought, well, what's going on? I haven't mentioned anything about a Euro tour. And I just thought, wow, I've been sleeping on it, and it was bugging me all through the night, and thought, you know what, we need to step this up. We've done the UK tour, and we should do more UK tours. It shouldn't be just left down to like myself and all that. I'm willing. We'll support whoever wants to go out there, and somebody else do the UK and that as well. Don't have to wait for me. But I mean, like this. I feel like I've been saying this to everybody. It doesn't matter what you do, and just make some noise. Make some noise about flat Earth. Just make some noise. Doesn't matter what is it that you're doing. As long as you're making getting some attention. And shouting loud enough, hopefully people will look into this and research this. So doing a Euro tour, when we met all these brand new people all around the UK, I didn't know who Adam was. He came out and helped us. I didn't know who Nicolas was, although Nicolas, I think we did cross horns a couple of times maybe, but I hadn't really met him and going around the UK, it had this unexpected. See, I thought we were just going to go around and do our activism to get our banner out and just talk, and I really didn't think that we would get so much support right throughout the whole of the UK, and it was beyond amazing, to have all the support. And so what's next? Where do you go from there? And should it just be the same, maybe different different locations? And no, I thought, let's step this up. Let's there has to be more Europeans, lots more people that are researching flat Earth right now. And well, we don't know who these people are. Who are they? But I bet you they're definitely there. And then Roxanne put me in touch with Flat Earth Mechs, I think it is, Flat Earth Mechs, and I think they're from Poland or somewhere, Hungary or somewhere like that, I think so. And Hungary, yeah, maybe. I figured that we didn't want to do Europe because there's a language barrier, and then thinking about it now, there may be that there's plenty of UK people that can speak these other languages, and who cares? Because a lot of these new flat earthers that we'll be meeting along the way, a lot of them will be able to speak English, and they'll be able to help. And if we can just bring lots of people together, so all the way right around the whole of Europe, let's bring it on. Let's take it full out. Head on. So there's my story at the moment.
You know what's going to happen, don't you? It's not going to just be a UK tour. It's going to be a world tour.
Eventually, we'll do that as well. But it's, Japan, here we come.
Yeah.
Mike, see you in a few years then. See you in a few years.
Yeah, it makes some noise. That's all I'm interested in. If everybody's making noise, then, eventually, it just seems ridiculous for me. I kind of think that, why is this all being held back? I feel like it should be exploding everywhere. And it is. There's a steady, increase, but it's not nearly fast enough for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we all feel a bit like that. In reality, though, it's only been a few years this time round. So we've all probably moved along massively, if you think from 3 years ago to today. But those who already have been researching this and understand a lot, we just want it to move on, don't you? That's it. We just want it to move on.
Yeah.
Thanks for that, Jason. What about you, Jin?
What am I up to? Well,
yeah.
Hi there, everybody. Basically, last week, for example, I went out to my local area here. I think Flat Earth Dude might have been watching, and I did a little bit of introducing Flat Earth to a couple of people in my neighborhood. One was in the McDonald's, a young university student, age 19. And after 20 minutes of just explaining to him the flat Earth model, let's say, and asking him if he could prove the global Earth. After 20 minutes, he was convinced that the Earth was flat. After 20 minutes, on the grounds that he couldn't prove the globe. Okay, so that was interesting. And then I went on to the local park, met some young old women, but they were not interested, so I left them alone. I met an old man. He was in his like 70s, and he was adamant that he could see the curvature. And I explained to him that, you know, well, it doesn't exist. I have never seen a curvature, and you're not at the height to see curvature. But he was, you know, dug in, so I didn't pressure him at all. I just left him to his dream. And when they're at 70, 80s, they're hard to reach. I think the indoctrination's deep within. So I left him. So that's what I do, in the way of like meeting people and trying to spread the word, the news. Okay. But today I wanted to talk about vaccines and their dangers, actually. You know, does anybody know about vaccinations and their dangers?
I'm
Yeah,
probably
we're
a little well versed.
Yeah.
We're all quite aware of vaccines. Do you want to introduce everybody and just go through everybody, and then you can come back and talk about that then, Jin?
Absolutely, yeah, no problem. Thank you very much, everyone.
Oh, it's a pleasure. No, I'll move on then. Robin, what have you been up to? What have you done?
I've accidentally gone and booked a conference venue, Karen. Really sorry. It houses only,
Really sorry.
it sleeps only 320 people, and we might actually get 500 people there if we're really good. No, seriously. The Flat Earth Convention in the UK is a double header with Dee Dee and Gary, who are doing a double header in Amsterdam at the end of September. September the 13th, 14th and 15th are actually booked in a venue called the Pioneer Centre in Kidderminster. And the event promises to be everything that Gary and Dee Dee put together this year just gone. We have some fantastic speakers already agreed to attend, and the Pioneer Centre is a bit special because it's slightly rural. You know, it's probably 40 minutes drive away from Birmingham, but it's free parking, the accommodation, the food, and the conference facilities all under one roof. So if you have children, or if you have family, or if you have a group, you can get some awesome discounts. And the prices are all up on fe.com. If you click on the Birmingham link, you'll get the prices, but roughly around the 195, I think the price is for one single adult for the Friday night, the Saturday and the Sunday, for the conference, the food and the accommodation. So I'm super happy that we found somewhere like this, because it's all kitted out. No one needs to run away to find a restaurant or somewhere to park the car. And what's going to happen is, hopefully, is around the dinner table, we're going to find out who we click with, who are our friends, who are our future friends, who are the people that we always wanted to meet. The speakers are going to be there. We have two presentation halls. We have a hall with 300 seats and a hall with 200 seats. So we're going to be able to host different types of presentations. And I really want to make it an event where people who are brand new to Flat Earth can feel they're not threatened. You know, they can come and learn. And the first presentation in the second hall will be a beginner's guide to Flat Earth. So and then the second presentation will be an activism workshop. So Jason will fill you in more about the schedule, but given that some of the UK tour will have completed by then, what will happen is those that want to jump on board and do some more, but haven't really quite got the confidence, there'll be a workshop where you can come and learn how to do activism. And come Sunday, sort of 4 or 5 p.m, it all wraps up. But the accommodation and the catering there is really good. They'll offer vegan, vegetarian, allergenic, needs for those who need something a bit different. And for one price, if you want to stay the whole weekend, you're going to have a fantastic time. And on the Friday night, there's also the sort of finale, if you like, of the UK leg, where the Globe Light Tour rolls into town, and Jason and whoever's joining him at that time will be able to celebrate and look back on the UK leg and do a bit of playback like we did at the finale in London back in November. And Roxanne will be co-hosting with me throughout the conference. And my good friend Charlotte and Dave, who run the Birmingham meet, will be organising with me. So all the ticketing, all the admin, all the follow-up will come from Charlotte and Dave. So Friday night promises to be a big party night. And then Saturday, we'll also have another celebration just for the sake of the conference. And you can actually just book in for one day. So if you just can make the Saturday or the Sunday, you can just book a one-day ticket, and that will give you all the food, all the presentations. You don't need to book any accommodation. You can sort of check out and go home after the event. But we're trying to make it as accessible to as many people as possible. So if you know someone who wants to get involved in Flat Earth, doesn't have a meetup in their own city, their own town, or if you're thinking about coming to, to meet other Flat Earthers who've not done it yet, the conference is definitely the best place to do it, because you're going to meet loads of people. You're going to feel totally in your comfort zone. No one's going to point cameras at you and expose you and make you feel awkward. It's just going to be an event which is like a welcoming, family-friendly event. So that's pretty much it, Karen. I'm sorry I've booked the event. The cat's out the bag now. It's time. It's time to get involved. And if this appeals to you, come on down. It's going to be good fun.
Yeah, well done, Robin. Well done.
How much is the ticket?
Say again.
How much is the ticket?
So a single adult is $195, but that includes the Friday night, the Saturday, and the Sunday. So you get food on the Friday night, accommodation Friday night, 3 meals on the Saturday, and 2 meals on the Sunday, and all the presentations and the accommodation,
and the parking as well,
and free parking, because it's one big if you just Google the Pioneer Centre in Kidderminster, you'll see what it's kitted out for. Okay. It's primarily a conference facility for churches and youth groups. So it comes at it's not deluxe accommodation. It's there for churches and youth groups. So it's designed to do things on a budget, but it's so new and modern and well kitted out. It should appeal to most people. And so if you've got a group of say 2, 3, 4 friends, then book a double ticket or book a group ticket of 4 and save loads of money. You can save, I think it's at least 10% of that money you'll save if you can club together with other people.
Right. Sounds really good, man.
Mm-hmm. It looks really nice as well. I've seen your video, the little playrooms for the children. So you're trying to cater for everybody. I do see that.
There's even a 5-a-side football court, which I'm thinking of booking if people want to come and break their ankles. I mean, have some fun. Oh dear, the PI insurance is now coming in. No, there is a 5-a-side football court. There's a basketball court. There's a foosball table, pool,
flat earth frisbee.
Yeah, bring the flat earth frisbee as well.
It's brilliant.
It should be great to just chill out. It should be good fun.
It will. I'm sure as the evening goes on, we'll be talking a bit more of this, but we'll just go down the line and then I'll open it up. But yeah, Nicolas, what about you then?
Mm-hmm. Me, all the way down the end of the line here. Where am I? Oh.
You're not on my panel. You're the next one up on my panel.
What have I been up to? Well, I've been off work because of physical injuries, as you know. And as far as Flat Earth goes, I try and flat smack people, but most people, I live in Glastonbury anyway, so most people are kind of in their own dimensions anyway. It's kind of, here we go, that's working now. There is a meeting coming up soon. I saw a flash of something come up on Facebook today, and there is going to be a meeting here in Glastonbury, a Flat Earth meeting. And I haven't quite got the date on that, but that is coming up soon. So that should be interesting, and see if we get any globe heads coming into that. So that should be quite good. But there are quite a few Flat Earthers in Glastonbury, and a lot of people obviously investigating truth or truths, So it's an interesting place and time to be at the moment. Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you. I know I'm sure she's going to say anything, although she's not one of the lads. She's a girl. But I think she's going to stay muted. She might have some noise in the background. I think I'd see her son unmuting and she's not. So the next one is Adam.
It was a different order on my screen. I'd relax there. Yeah. Good evening, everyone.
It's different. How are you, Adam?
I'm all good. I'm all good, mate. Updating, are we? Well, I'm having fun at Iron Realm, obviously, with the guys and doing the Friday show with them, and obviously the TFR, try and jump in there and likes. But 2 reasons for tonight, really. First, I saw Boys' Night and I felt a little left out. So I thought I shoved my nose in. But there was a reason as well. We're all, obviously, you've heard what the guys, Jason and Robin's, are organising there, and I'm kind of doing a little bit in the background as well, trying to work with Gary, Dee as well, trying to just get some of the press releases for our stuff and to send over to the Americans to put it out over there. Other than saying hello to you, Karen, I wanted to say hello to the guys. We probably really need to speak tomorrow. It's so hectic, the schedule tonight. Everybody's shuffling and promising stuff that's probably not going to happen. So I thought if we could maybe have a chat tomorrow, guys. But with that in mind, I just wanted to say thanks to Jason, to Robin, and obviously the people behind. I see Dave there as well, you know what I mean? And thanks for what they're doing and the inspiration they're giving to people like me. They've been kind enough to let me kind of try and help. And with that in mind, I know one of the things that I've seen from the first meeting is the way that people are wanting to engage in this. And certainly to stick my 2 pennies within and a shout out, if there's people out there you've seen already a brief glimpse, and you'll see the detail more, I think, and get used to it. This is for us all, guys, and what the commitment these guys are putting in is giving us all an opportunity. And I would say to every flat earther out there, take this opportunity, join in. This isn't a government organised event. This is an event of the people. It has to be started, like most things, by brave individuals, but this is here for us all, and let's make something of it, all of us. We've got an opportunity. Let's take it.
Yeah, well said.
Yeah, well said.
Sounds like you are.
Thank you.
So it's good. So anyway, thanks for that, Adam. Next one, Dave.
Hey, well, it's Dave Truth Talks here. Yeah, as you might have heard, we've been doing some meets in a pub in London, in Greenwich, and that's been really good, actually. Really nice to get people around together. The energy has been good. The attendance was a little lower on the last meeting, but it was kind of just after Christmas, and I think people were tired from all the festivities. So we're doing the next one in February. The dates will be the last Thursday of the month. And, you know, it's just like Adam said, it's really worth people trying to break away from the keyboard, you know, break away from you know, needing it to always be in this medium, because the connection that you make in person is far more tangible, far more real. And one of the things that we know that we're losing with social media is human interaction, and that has to be paramount. You know, if all we ever are is doing this, then we might just as well be playing Second Life. So yeah, no, it's encouraging to see the guys putting everything together for the tour and you know, the conference. Looking forward to that.
Dave, just one thing, like, we are encouraging people to meet up, and there's just one thing I'd like to say, and it goes back to meeting you and meeting so many flat earthers. And flat earthers don't shake hands, they hug. And that says a lot about us all. It's a natural thing, and for me, if there's a fear of people coming down, whatever, when, as Dave says, when you do meet people, it is so empowering. you know, if you've got any doubt, do it. Come along.
Yeah, and
I
there's
call
no.
this the activist panel here today. We're all doing stuff.
Yeah, it's quite a few.
Well,
of us,
there's plenty of people doing stuff, and it's great to see that kind of energy starting to grow. It's also nice to have other topics sometimes to bring people to bring to people's attention. So, like with the Truth Talks, you know, we'd decided we didn't really want to slap people straight in the face with the flat Earth thing, because you know it is a thing that people need to hear, but it does have an initial knee-jerk reaction, and so this was mainly it was an attempt to try to go around the side rather than hit them at the front door.
That's a good idea, though, isn't it? Because if you put flat Earth, people might, because that's a funny thing, isn't it? You're either going to like it or you're not. So it's a good idea doing it that way, isn't it? Thanks for that, Dave. Kosta.
Hello, guys. Good evening. Let me turn my camera. Wow,
Hey.
everybody's an activist there. I'm the only one doing anything.
Oh, well, it looks like you might be moving to near Glastonbury, so that's good.
Exactly, mate. You're sitting next to me.
Yes, then we can
Growing
meet.
up and get naughty.
Yeah. We can meet two things together. Yeah, that's it. And the funny thing, I saw the last news I saw was the Chinese moon landing on the other side of the moon. That was so funny.
They're doing well, aren't they? On the dark side.
I was laughing all day when I saw it.
Man. What did your wife say?
We are fighting with my wife. Yeah, I was showing her, look, this is all fake. It's all like, look at the smoke it's doing, and all this. It's such a big lie, and she was fighting with me. No, it's true. Yeah. But okay, I talked to some people. It seems like people are interested more, I think, in flat Earth. Because when they think of the opposite, they're trying to figure out why it can be flat, and because it's something true, something happens from the consciousness, something up there. I see it this way, because our thoughts and our getting together, all these panels and your activism, of course, we are doing in the street, plays, it's a big role, yeah. So a big thanks to everybody, and we shall be definitely in those who have the true perspective of flat Earth in the end, yeah, definitely. Paragalo. Arigato. Do you speak Japanese?
Hi, Shabarimasu. Yes, I do.
Very good. Interesting.
Can I just see? It's Flat Earth Dude. Are you there, Flat Earth Dude? Flat Earth Dude. Flat Earth Dude. You're the last one.
United States, checking in. I'm here.
Yeah.
California.
Everybody knows,
California.
English.
Everybody's English, and then there's me. I got it. No problem. What am I doing? I'm working on cars and shopping and cleaning. No, I just do Flat Earth Hollywood on Saturday nights. I do some interviews. I'm trying to line up a few physicists to interview and just see what they have to say about certain things. I talked to a physicist Sunday, day before yesterday, and I was curious. Poncho Pete's been doing a lot of research into the airline industry and the amount of fuel they use on these planes and where they store it. And this guy used to work for Boeing. this guy used to work for Boeing. So I was telling him, man, my friend's been looking into this for quite a few months, and he's been doing the measurements, and he thinks that these planes are not as holding as much fuel as they're telling us. And he goes, does your friend believe in the flat earth? And I was like, I was shocked that he said that. I was like, why, so, and he's an older gentleman. He's probably 70 years old, retired physicist. And I just thought that was interesting that he's definitely heard about the flat earth.
That's very interesting, dude, because I think that this next year's tour is going to be different because we're going to see a lot more people coming prepared with their counter arguments. I saw that in the time that I was in Speaker's Corner this year, where we went from people not really having much to say, but at the end, people coming with targeted, because they already have heard the argument, they've sat in their lounge and had the argument, and now they've found someone to vent their argument with. So I think you'll see that change. A lot more people have heard of it, yeah.
Yeah, but on the other side, our answers are getting better. Listening to Anthony Riley, Sleeping Warrior, and listening to the way he was, we're learning from, there's much more people that are coming out and doing activism. Then we just learn better answers and better answers, just keep doing it. Keep doing what we're doing.
Well, that's the thing, is because their questions will never change, or their positions can never really change. They're always going to have the same 5 or 8 kind of arguments and counterpoints, and that over time, if you study it, if you're a lawyer type like Anthony, then you study those and you can counter them all very easily. And as you say, there's only more research coming on board. So.
Where's the edge?
Sorry.
Where's the edge, Chip?
The edge.
It's not that. It's why. Why?
I think that I have a potential answer on the edge, but I won't say that now.
Yeah, save that for the tour.
Yeah. Well, no, that's not for Globers. You can't tell a ball boy your theory on how the edge might be when he hasn't got used to the idea that water has to be level. You waste so much energy trying to convince these people of concepts, even things like satellites. It's like just for us or the airline thing. Where the planes are not carrying so much fuel. It's so easy for us to kind of go, okay, we can unpick that because we already don't trust everything else. So, I think this is the difficulty you have. We try and take people down the line too far. With flat Earth arguments, you've got to kind of keep them simple, keep them people at the base level.
But it is simple. That's what gets me, though. These people are just confuse everything.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. I have to say, this far down the line, I thought it was going to be a no-brainer. People would kind of work it out, and then you'd have enough people around you say, "Hey, look, it's obviously flat."
Right.
And then you've got the the infrared stuff aside from all the other.
Really, people just don't seem to get it. It's just so logical and so simple. It's just right in your face. Look at it. Look at what's going on. And they're just completely spellbound. It blows me away.
Well, it's a form of it's definitely a form of mind control that we're all being put under, a sleep paralysis or something, or a waking paralysis, a daydream.
Right.
I've seen it with people for years, because I've always been sort of the odd one out and always looking at things slightly differently. But even after all these years, and it just still gets me that people just don't get the simplest of things, and they have to confuse so much.
I think fear is one of the biggest reverters, or the things that keep you on the ball, because for a lot of when you engage with people, and if you think back to the journey yourself, one of the first things you look for, and what ballers look for, is an alternative paradigm. And I think before you can release yourself from the ball, you kind of have to have a bit more humility and accept that maybe you won't know everything, or maybe not even anything.
Yeah.
Right.
You don't need to know everything.
No. No, that's an even bigger step, right? Isn't it? That's the next step, realizing that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
On that subject, Pancho Pete's kid, he's 12, and he's a flat earther, and he knows the law too, and he's absolutely amazing. And this morning, the teacher had called Pancho in to come discipline his kid, and he was questioning the the evolution, monkey on a spinning ball, and they were calling him disruptive because he wasn't giving the right answers. So they had to call in Pancho to try to straighten him out, and Pancho didn't have to say much, and his son got to get with the teacher, and the teacher said, Pancho's like, if you're teaching him lies, that's against the law. And the teacher's like, well, I don't care. So if you know that you're a teacher and you are teaching bad information and you're breaking the law, then you are complicit completely, and you've crossed over to the dark side, I'll say. You know what I mean? You are protecting your own ass, and you're as far as I can tell, you're a pussy, man. I just have to say it like that, because
this is the bit that's being challenged in the UK now with Riley. And whilst it's shown in law you can't necessarily take on the individual teacher, what you can do is hold the educational institution accountable for, certainly within UK, what's described as partisan politics. And the strength of Anthony's case is the comparison between teaching a heliocentric model, which is unproven science or unprovable science, and how in a UK court the partisan politics principle was held up against Al Gore's kind of climate change agenda. And it was shown that whilst all of science agrees with climate change, this wasn't provable in science, and therefore was classified as partisan politics, and therefore an alternative hypothesis should be given to the students for consideration. And I think that's probably the best we can hope for at the moment, that we could get to a point where we can enforce in law that an alternative to an unproven hypothesis is given. Because I think it's very hard to say stop teaching them lies, because that is what do you teach at that point? There has to be, I think for me, it's about making the system a little more accountable for what is fact and what is considered via consensus. And I think what we've got at the moment is a state where consensus opinion and consensus science is portrayed as fact. And I think if we can stop them using that misnomer, then that's a huge win, because that does allow people.
Well said. That's really well. That's perfect.
Have you not got consensus and fiction mixed up though, Adam?
Well, yeah, we can all be fictional in our consensus.
Right. Okay.
Or have consensus in our fiction. Yeah. Sorry.
I find really weird, right? When I was at college, whether these systems worked anymore, we still had to learn them. We still had to go through all the systems that have been out, ones that were being used, ones that weren't. And of course, they've changed drastically since I was at college, but they were still mentioned, right? But flat Earth isn't mentioned at all, not even as a model, nothing. No other models are mentioned. You're not allowed to talk about anything else. I find that really crazy.
And yet they used to talk about it. Hey, they used to educate us with it.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day.
Back in the
day, yeah.
But
there must be very types of it, mustn't they?
It was still a competing model, certainly. But you see, that's because people believe, they talking about theories. Gravity is king of the hill when it comes to theories that things are built upon. And you know, of course, I used to sell theory. I used to sell gravity. Well, certainly, I used to sell the evolution model myself. You know, so. But that's my family. I've fallen out quite hard with my father, and he actually saw a video of me doing activism, and apparently with Alexander at my feet, and he's very upset about that. But my older sister is a well-trained teacher, and it suits people in that mindset to think that what we're buying into is some kind of fake news and fake versions of reality and so on, rather than to say that their consensus view is deeply flawed or tainted or whatever, you know, and they're just going to want to stick with that. I think that's what the system is going to do. So I'm very interested to see how these other challenges like Maryland's very level and this Anthony Riley thing works out.
With regards to the education of children, I've got boys that are older than yours, Dave. That mine are 11 and 13, and it's something I've pondered on, particularly with regards to science, evolution, physics, gravity, heliocentrism, all of those things. And I kind of said to my boys, look, you go out there, you learn it. And they said, why? And I said, because when you're doing English and you're doing Jane Eyre or Shakespeare, that's not real either. But you're expected to be able to regurgitate it to get these life marks. And as much as you disagree with the system, you still have to be equipped to cope in the system. And so you go out there, learn it, and know that it's bullshit just as much as Hamlet may have been, but regurgitate it well.
Regurgitate it well.
And know the
well
truth
said.
yourself.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds a lot more positive when you're actually including it. You know, we're starting to, you know, us as flat earthers want life.
All of this is positive, Karen, isn't it? If we have what a lot of us here, I think, and you know, you look at Dave with his lad and the love there, and what the state is trying to do is use the education system as the only input for a child's learning, and the importance of a family structure, and knowing in a proper family structure that doesn't matter what the state teaches my children. I know that mum and dad's opinion are much more valued to my children. Not they take it as law, but it's a much more valued opinion because it's built on a lot more credibility. It's built on love. And I don't need to make them believe anything, but I will share my experiences. And I've not forced anything on them, but they know the earth's flat in their minds. But they don't shout it at school. But I don't need to worry about what the state's teaching them because I engage and I love my children. And I won't let the world they're trying to build change that. They tried to make, you know, they tried to break families up by making a man's wage not sufficient to support a family, which is the way it should be. I hate to get all machoistic, but, you know, there is a purpose to the family unit and there's a purpose and a benefit to it. And part of what they've done in this paradigm is try to destroy that so that the only input into a child's mind is from the state and the parent is diminished. And I will not let that happen. And Dave, you're an inspiration watching you, son. I wish I was as awake as I am now and as you are with your son when my kids were that young. And
thank you.
Well, at least your children, Adam, at least your children have heard it. We didn't.
Yeah, they get to kind of, you know, they get to hear it from someone close to them and they get to work it out much younger than we did. You know, my older children have struggled a little bit with all of this, to be honest. It's been quite a journey for them too. But with my younger son, I think not only is it the education and the TV and gosh, these things are a real draw on the mind and so on, and it's really difficult to find a way to navigate past that as for most of us. But the other thing is that we're robbed of, I think, of true family time. and now it's a double-edged sword for me at the moment. But there hasn't been a lot of work coming my way, so it's meant I've had a lot of time to be with Alexander, and that is so precious, both for him, myself, and his mum, because it's actually damn hard work looking after an 18-month-old baby and an energetic kid, particularly in the winter time when you're kind of trapped indoors a lot of the time and so on. So I think that I've thought about this quite a bit, actually, Adam, that the father's role, we've gotten used to the idea of daddy being away 50 hours a week and earning enough in that time to afford 2 holidays and so on. That's the model or the ideal, I suppose. But I don't know that in reality it would have been like that. In our true essence, we would have spent a lot more time perhaps in the field working, doing things in the summertime, maybe less time with the children, sure, or they're involved in the field, as it were. And then in the wintertime, the family are hunkered down around the fireplace and repairing things and doing, and learning skills and crafts and sharing stories and so on. And I think that's the true essence that we lost when we started watching TV, when we started being entertained by it. And of course, being in the cities and being in the lifestyles that we are now, we're kind of trapped into the 50 hours and we don't really have the option to say, let's just work the fields in the summer, and with that crop, if it's not stolen by the police, we will take care of ourselves in the winter. I'll yield the floor.
Mate.
I'll yield the floor. I'm not bitter.
Yeah, we're talking about love here as well. That's something that doesn't get talked about very often, is it? Love.
Love.
What you can do to that. Everybody's forgetting about all that rushing around in that globe world.
Yeah.
And that's what Alexander has given me, actually. So kind of crack on about this, but Alexander has given me that reminder of the love that our mother had for us, or our father had for us, and that we have for one another, ourselves, should have for ourselves, and for one another across the piece. No matter your place, and it's just a wonderful reminder. He is a wonderful reminder, or that love is a wonderful reminder of actually what it's all about. And that's why for me, in 2019, I'm hoping that I can find ways to use love as my kind of means to reach people, rather than, because I got into some battles in 2018 in the trenches, as it were, and it isn't kind of in my heart or in my nature to be in conflict. You do it if you have to, but really, you want to be spreading love, not anger, not resentment and stuff like that. And so, that's where I want to.
Dave, can I just say something? It wasn't your anger. You get caught up in their anger, and if you're sensitive, it's really hard to get past someone else's anger, isn't it?
Sure. Well, I mean, and if you're being, abused, because actually in the street, other people have said to me, because you don't really pay too much attention, but standing around watching it, you get a lot of abuse hurled at you, actually, when you're in the pit, and at Speaker's Corner, and
it's easy, Dave, isn't it, to channel the dark side and respond with the dark side. The strength is to respond with compassion and as you say, more important, love. And if you can not pity or look down on this person, this poor baller, but actually just love them, and do your best to share your knowledge with them, that's kind of what I aim for. It's very, very difficult. Me and Roxanne were in Market Square, and there was a troll kind of come up, and to fight that natural ability, ability to defend yourself it's not natural in us, and it is hard, but it is the way forward, Dave. And I agree with you, mate. That's how we have to engage, because that's the way we're winning now. Look across YouTube.
Yeah.
Look at us. Look at them.
Well, we're coming together. Hopefully, we're coming together here. It's happening.
Yeah. Well, bring it on.
Yeah, we need unity right now. It's a bit rocky out there, isn't it? We need this unity. We need to grow as people and move on and do things. You know, it's all happening. I'm very proud of everybody. So well done, everybody. Amazing.
On that moment of unity, Karen, I'm going to have to do one because I've got to go and chat with Gary and Dee Dee and for the guys. It's been a real pleasure. Love and peace to you all.
Adam, are you
I've got to quickly get
You're
this down,
link.
and then I'll try and come. No, it's not on another link. It's just a private chat to do some of the UK tour stuff and get stuff right, so that when we do stuff on TFR, we're announcing what you guys are doing right. I was going to chat with these guys. I'm going to do it tomorrow if I get a chance, because it's probably only going to be 10 or 15 minutes. But Dee Dee goes to bed early, so I don't want to let her down. So if you can do a gentleman's excuse me just for a bit, I will be back.
See you, Adam. Take it easy, mate.
Cheers, Adam.
Thanks.
I hope to see you in a bit. Yeah.
Bye, darling. Might see you back in a minute. Yeah. Bye, darling. Jin also have children. You've got young children or older children, Jason?
Yeah, I've been a busy rabbit. I've got 5 kids.
5? How old are they?
Oh God, I'm a terrible dad when people ask me their ages.
Come on.
Right, so oh God, we've got Craig who is 24. Lucy's sorry, and then we've got Luke who's 22. Lucy's 21. I bet you got all that wrong. I don't know, but yeah, I think I'm about right, I think. And then we've got Owen who is he's 16, and then we've got Jay who's 13. So yeah, I was never into TV. So
right.
Right.
But yeah,
hang on.
And,
are they all flat earthers?
No, I'm just getting to that, and they're so far from not being flat earthers. I am crazy, Dad, but they're very respectful, and that's the bit that I like the most. That they all give me my own space to do, and I won't say believe, to do with what I know, and I think Luke, he actually gets it, like a lot more. And he talks with me on a few bits and pieces and all that. But I think my wife and my son here as well, Luke. It's almost like they're one of these. I'm not interested. Just not interested. Like they just want to do their thing, and they're not interested.
Yeah.
And I think fair enough. Because I'm sorry, if someone wanted to talk to me about angling, fishing, or something, I'd be bored in seconds, and it'd be like, oh my God, I'm not interested. Please don't. So I do get it a little bit, but it's a little bit more important this, but they're not interested. Yeah.
Thanks, Jason. That's interesting. Yeah, I've got 4 boys. The eldest one's at 18. Then I have a 16-year-old, a 13 who's going to be 14 next month, and a 9-year-old who's going to be 14, 10-year-old in March. So, but they all know that the earth is flat. You see, I've explained it to them. I don't expect them to go out and do any activism or anything. Some of them they've had a little argument with their teachers in the classroom. But apart from that, they know that the earth is flat, because from their childhood, I've been out with nature all the time. So we go camping every year, canoeing, hiking. I mean, I've took them up Mount Fuji twice in their lives, to the top, to the summit here. So they know, they really love nature. So I explained to them that the earth is flat, and they understand it. That's it. I'm not expecting anything from them in the way of going out doing any activism.
But that may come later on.
Yeah, later on, exactly. So I'm the one that's really doing a little bit of activism and going out meeting people and teaching my students here, as I teach English. So I introduce flat earth as a part of the subject, really, where we live, basically. The earth science, as a science. So that's where I am at the moment. My wife's not on board, sorry. Not interested.
So same as my wife. Is it that she's not on board, that she denies it, or not on board because she's not interested?
She's not interested. Got no time for that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how it is at the moment. Totally not interested.
Right. So you've learned your boundaries there now, have you? Because I've learned mine.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah. You know, I know the truth, and that's that. And I carry on, and the children know. So she'll come on board when she's ready, if she's ready.
Yeah. That's the way I feel.
But don't hold it against her. That's the thing.
No.
Right.
Can I ask Kosta? Kosta, have you told your kids?
Yeah, I told them.
Kosta, come in.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Your wife's not into it, is she, Kosta?
No, she's working. She's working on my own.
No, your wife's not a flat earther, is she?
No, we fight all the time. She doesn't even want. She doesn't want to talk about it. Yeah, it's very boring. Everything I say, not only about flat earth, generally. Yeah, about this Babylon system we're living in, all that. But with the kids, I told them some way, not straightforward, and it seems that they're interested. So I take it slowly. I don't want to confuse them a lot or something.
It's frustrating when people you really love think that you're crazy and sort of almost turn their up at you. It is really frustrating. They trusted you to be their mum, their wife, husband, whatever it is, but they don't trust you on this at all. It's a bit harsh sometimes being a flat earther, a bit condemned here. But I just want to ask, Robin, you've got kids. How old are yours? Do they know?
Yeah, so my eldest left home, is in his 30s, my stepson, so we don't get to chat too much about stuff like this. But my daughter came home, my stepdaughter, she came home in 2015 and said someone at work said the Earth's flat. So she's the reason I became a flat earther. And
brilliant.
She's actually ambivalent, but willing to look enough to think, yeah, as with the other sort of conspiracy theories, she doesn't think 9/11 was 19 Arabs and etc. So I wouldn't say she's a big conspiracy theorist, but she's certainly sharp enough to know that I've got a point on this. She hasn't looked into it deeply, but I think she's too busy with her career and socializing and friends and that sort of stuff. And then you've got my two sons who are my doing, who are 22 and 21. The eldest has got a girlfriend in Germany, and she's been asking me through him, what's Robin's top 3 proofs of flat Earth? So I sent her the links to my videos and David Murphy's videos and a few others, and they've been researching together in the last few weeks. So so let's just see how that pops out. And then my youngest is just a delight. He's just happy-go-lucky. He asked me, he said, because he knows I'm passionate about it, he said, so what's all this flat Earth stuff then? It's about 6 to 9 months ago. So I showed him a few things and he said, yeah, it makes sense. I just walked off. Just carried on, doing his thing. And he's not going to challenge me ever. And he's not going to get problematic. And they kind of humor me. And every now and then there's a rolled eye in the living room. Oh, he's on it again. Especially with that Chinese moon landing this last week. That was just a shocker, wasn't it? And they all rolled their eyes because you could see me getting animated in my seat. You don't believe this nonsense, do you? But what was funny was, to be fair, I think they do take on board a lot of what I say, because you didn't watch the news tonight, but if you did, you'll have seen a propaganda machine telling you that 5 or 6 protagonists outside Parliament, anti-Brexiteers, are causing a huge problem. I said, you never saw anything about the 250,000 march in Israel a couple of years ago, did you? That never made it on the BBC. No, that didn't make it. And they get it. They understand. And then, you know, my wife is brilliant. She cares for the elderly, and she goes to see people who are, you know, 80s and 90s, and they say, "You don't believe that moon landing, do you, Robin? Do you, Mandy?" And that, you know, she's getting her social proof from her clients, which is brilliant. So, yeah, I don't think Mandy's 100% on board. She came to the convention in April, and she humours me, and she's great. I've got to be careful, though. There's a balance. Can't do too much. But there you go.
I'm with her. But all of us, come on. All of us on this panel, we're pretty obsessed with flat Earth, aren't we?
Yeah.
We're obsessed. That makes you, because you want the truth.
Yeah, 100%. Me too, Jin.
Yeah.
Much better.
Let's ask Nicolas. Nicolas, what are your kids like then about flat Earth?
What's that? Sorry, Karen?
Have you told your kids about
Well, my
flat Earth?
6-year-old daughter knows, and my son, who's 12, lives in Italy with my ex-wife, so he knows that. I've mentioned it, but I don't think he's really he doesn't really talk about it. So, yeah, my daughter, she just says, "I don't know what it is, Daddy. It's definitely not a ball spinning through space, though." but she's at school, so you know, she's going to have my approach, and my wife's approach is very similar to hers. Is we don't know what it is. We don't know what it is, but we know it's not a ball spinning through space, and it seems to be quite flat. So, yeah. So my whole family's on board.
Thank you for that. Well, that's great, because lots of families aren't on board with people, and it has caused a load of arguments, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Can I just ask Flat Earth Dude? Flat Earth Dude, what's it like with your family? Is he there? He was writing in the chat room just a second ago. Flat Earth Dude. Oh.
Yeah. Oh, here I am.
Oh, you are. What's your family like?
I was pulling the Karen there, trying to unmute. You know, takes a second sometimes.
Cool.
You know, I just don't hit him that hard with it. The wife's great; she's cool with it. She's more into, you know, there's like she notices a lot of the symbolisms that this Illuminati seems to put up everywhere. But yeah, I just don't hit them that hard with it. I got some nieces and nephews. I'm waiting until they're a little bit older. I don't want to piss off their parents. But yeah, you know, I've dropped some few bombs here and there, just, you know, little hints.
Yeah.
So I don't want to cause any family problems, you know.
No, best way with family.
Yeah, you know, let's just leave it at that. I like to go out on the street and talk to strangers. That's the best for me. Just the simple explanations are usually the best. And water's not bending. We ain't moving. You don't feel like you're spinning.
Dude, you said that. So go on then. You have to say it in your Dick Van Dyke voice.
Can't find the bendy water.
That's a good one.
So, you know, talking to strangers is great. Simple, you know. Do you feel like you're moving 2 million miles an hour? Really? No. Okay, well, that's all it might take sometimes for somebody to wake up. So as many people as I can hit with that, I'll just keep doing that for now. I think Flat Earth has its own legs right now.
Yeah.
And it's just like I'm looking at everybody's live hangouts and stuff, and the numbers are way up, you know.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's going on?
Was you always outspoken, you know, like this? Well, a bit like what you're doing now, but you know, does it come naturally to you, or have you?
Yeah. I was a tour guide when I was 16, and learned to speak to people and be cordial and not afraid of anybody, man. Let's bring it. I've taken on physicists, to doctors, lawyers. You know, I just keep things really simple, and they try to overcomplicate things sometimes.
Yeah.
You know.
Something else.
Go ahead.
You wear a white coat, don't you?
I do what? Yeah.
A lab coat.
Yeah, I'm thinking of getting a maybe a lab shroud. What do you think? That was kind
of, don't you? And people,
what's that?
You go out with your lab jackets on in Hollywood.
Yeah, yeah. You know, it's something we were trying to see how that works, and people do respect the lab coat. They're familiar with it. There's a lot of television commercials that they're selling you drugs, and there are people wearing lab coats, you know, and talking. They're supposed to look like doctors or whatever. And
are you going to try and get on the USA tour?
Oh, definitely. We're planning a big meetup in LA here. So I can catch as many of the dates as possible in and around what we call the Southwest of America.
Have they released the dates to anywhere yet?
I don't think so. I'm on their email list. I haven't gotten any emails yet, but
well, they need to hurry up because I'm kind of dying to know myself. As long as it doesn't interrupt with mine, because I'd like to watch this one.
It's Jason Swift. He's putting it together. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm asking. I'm pretty sure it's him.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
So it'd be great. Anything we can do to get people to realize where they live, or at least question where they live, for goodness sakes.
Isn't it ridiculous that they've got us believing that we're spinning at 1,000 miles an hour at the equator, and in fact we're probably doing something like 270,000 miles at Mach 80 in 3 different directions, one anti-clockwise with the moon, and all this crap? How can we be doing all that? It's ridiculous, and they think we're crazy.
See, right. Karen, you've got it down now. We need you on the tour.
Yeah,
it's there.
You got to get her and Dave out there yelling.
Thing is, I'm a bit like Dave. I'm like Dave. I'm quite sensitive, and I don't like I prefer the ones that have woken up, because when I feel a wall in front of me, I just can't. I'm not into walls. I've had plenty of those in my life.
Yeah.
Well, it takes a certain person, I think, to stand out there. And
I can relate to that, Karen. That's why I chose Hollywood, because you go out there, it's totally different than standing in front of an Ivy League school or whatever. Those people, man, they want to just bust your butt, man, right? You guys got hammered on a few times out there on the UK tour, man. I'm like, dang.
Well, I think
people yelling at you, calling you stupid, throwing stuff at you. I'm like, I don't know if that doesn't sound like a lot of fun sometimes.
Well,
right?
it wasn't. I mean, I think, oh God, it was them. I forget where it was, but when I had
Cambridge.
No, I wasn't thinking of that. I was thinking of the 50 school kids that battered me. Oh, Jesus.
True.
Can I say something else as you're here? Flat Earth Dude actually was one of your biggest fans, and I think Jin as well. Both Jin and Flat Earth Dude watched most of the Globe Live tour in the UK.
Well, it was perfect for me. I was just having breakfast, and you guys were out there hitting it hard, and it was just great to sit and have breakfast and watch for an hour or so. And I watched almost every single day.
Wow. Yeah, brilliant.
And it was so inspirational to see that.
It really was, yeah. Epic.
And the reason I always wanted to go out, I saw Harry doing these interviews on the street, and I'm like, wow, that's pretty, and he's out there in front of like Cambridge or something. And I'm like, wow, he's got the information, but he brought it so, you guys concised it so perfectly, and it's real simple to talk to somebody now. You can spend like maybe 10 minutes, hit all the major points, and you can move on to the next person. Yeah. But it's taken a while to get to that point. And watching you guys do it, man, really helped me a ton. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, I think, I forget, it was Ernest, watching Ernest out in Harvard. He was a little bit of inspiration,
Brother Ernest, man.
because he had some tough battles there, you know, like, and he swatted them all out the way. Yeah.
Yeah, so look at you all. Even Jin's been flat smacking. He says that sometime that maybe he'll start like doing a little bit of interviewing with some Japanese people, didn't you?
Yes, I did. Yeah, and I did back in December. I did do a couple of live ones. I think Flat Earth Dude might have seen that. I think, I'm not sure, but it went well. I went to McDonald's, local McDonald's, and introduced and said, "Mind me interrupting your meal, but we've got some people in like America and Holland and that are interested in what Japanese life's like and your opinions on things." And they said, yeah. He said, yeah. And I said, okay, the theme is the shape of the earth. What shape do you think it is? And of course, he said it's a sphere. We asked him how he knew. And he said he learnt at school and films, magazines and stuff. Okay. Then Flat Earth Dude and the other guys, I think, were just asking questions, putting questions to him. And by the time we'd finished 20 minutes of like talking and putting it across, he was convinced that the earth was flat within 20 minutes, purely because he said he couldn't prove the globe. What he learned was wrong, and he realized it, and he couldn't prove it. So, and we explained to him that, you know, that we're not spinning, yet you can feel the earthquake, but you can't feel the 1,000 miles an hour spin, right? The horizon is level. We do not have any photographic images of Earth from space, only CGI. And I showed him the flat Earth map. And I think Jason's favorite one, where if you fly over the aeroplane, you don't fly upside down. Yeah. That's my favorite one as well. And I had a proper toy plane, and I explained that to him. So after all that bombardment, after 20 minutes, he was convinced. Now, but when I say bombardment, it was methodically done, you know, step by step, not rude, no pressure, giving him time to answer the questions, giving him time to think. 20 minutes, and he was already believing it was flat.
Wow, brilliant!
Yeah, that was really good.
Brilliant.
That was live on Poncho Pete's channel.
Yeah.
So that was pretty good.
Yeah, brilliant. I just been speaking to my my local barber, my hairdresser. He was cutting my hair, and then he said, you know, can I pop back in? His work colleague wasn't there at the time. He said, can I pop back in and speak to his work colleague? Because we've been talking about conspiracies, and I didn't realise at that point. It seems that my barber, since we keep going in speaking to him, I never actually said to him, but he was talking as though he is a flat earther now. That's what I don't think he's put a label.
Brilliant.
Yeah, but he asked me to come back in, you know, like to talk to his friend, you know, like a work colleague, and I went back in and start talking to this guy, and he comes up with so many good points and that, you know, like and I find that with people who haven't got majors in physics and, you know, the sciences and all that,
right.
It is a doddle to actually I won't say convince, although it is, you know, like you're convincing somebody, you're selling something to somebody.
Yeah.
But I feel like whatever that label is, but we are selling something to somebody to check it out, to research it for themselves, because I can't always leave it with, and don't believe a thing that I said, check this out yourself.
Well, yes.
Like, so absolutely. Yeah, it was a great one. I mean, like one of the best sit downs I've had for a while, you know, like since
a relaxing flat smack, if you will.
Say that. Yes,
a relaxing smack flat.
Well, that's right. That's right. You know, it's I like to kind of pick up on every opportunity, but it's difficult sometimes because you know, like I like having the banners there for people to come to me.
Brilliant,
okay?
They are.
I like that, you know, that gives me confidence. I feel good about myself and all that. But occasionally, you know, like you see these opportunities where, you know, you've got to, you know, you're itching to say something, you know, like so I do. I take as many opportunities as I can, but I try my best not to pester people too much. I try and be respectful.
Yeah, I'm the same as well. But when I went to Hawaii last year, my images of me climbing up Diamond Head, which is a volcanic crater. I got to the summit and then I shouted out that the Earth was flat, you know, and I said, look at the horizon, it's dead level. Please look on the internet, check it out. It's the latest, hottest topic at the moment.
How many was
We've been
there?
deceived. I've said, we've been deceived, I'm shouting out, yeah? Right? So I've flat smacked a hold of, like, they were younger than me, hikers, okay?
Yeah.
Then I'm coming back down and I'm on my way back to the hotel and the Jehovah's Witness stopped me. And they were going to introduce me to the Jehovah's Witness. I said, hang on a second. Just before we start, I'd like to say, look, if you look at my T-shirt, it says, flat Earth, the Earth is flat. So before you even do me with your Jehovah's Witness thing, please look into the flat Earth. And the leader of the group there said, how do you know? So I had my iPhone and I just introduced him to a few points about the spinning. You know that latest simulation one where the sun is rocketing through the universe and the planets are rotating around, yeah? Do you know that one, guys?
Yep.
Yeah, that's the one I showed him. I goes, this is what we're doing. Do you believe we're moving like this? And how old are you, sir? He was 45. I said, so 45 years, this is what we've been doing all the way through the universe. Can you believe that? I said to him. He just took his mobile phone, exchanged, and he was going to study it. That's how I left him. They wanted to flat smack me with Joe. I flat smacked them with flat Earth.
Yeah, that's a good shout. Yeah, I would do that too. I would do that too, Jin. Yeah,
you know,
they've got no choice. They want to stand at your door, but they don't realise you're just about to flip it on them.
Exactly. I said you got to learn where you live first before you push this stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to share a story actually. I got approached by a media student before Christmas. I wasn't sure what she wanted to do, so we went for a drink. We sat down, and she just said, "I've got the camera. I want to do a project this year. I've heard about Flat Earth. Tell me all about it." So I said, "Well, here's a list of videos. You know, come and see me after Christmas, and we'll get the ball rolling." So I met with her and her friend yesterday, and we went for coffee. Ooh. She said, I've watched the top 10 films that you sent me. She said, I've got this really weird feeling. I'm just about to be a flat earther. And her friend, yeah, I know. I thought, well, thanks, Dave Murphy and all the guys who put these great videos together. And her friend came who was brand new. I think she was her chaperone because they're quite young, you know, meeting a guy my age doesn't go down so well. So she had a friend and her friend was brand new. So her friend said, "Can you talk me through it from the beginning?" I said, "How refreshing to see an open-minded person like you. Are you ready for this?" So I went through a few things with them. Yeah, and by the time we finished, she said, "Yeah, you've made a lot of good points, and I think I'm going to need to go away and think about this." But the first young lady, Holly, she said, I feel really weird. That's what I feel like. And I'm not sure I'm quite ready to share this with my family. I said, don't share it with them yet. Spend another few months getting to know this material. And I said, I promise you, by the time you finished, now you've got to where you are, you'll feel better about it. And she has a boyfriend in Brighton and she's coming down to witness the John Dee experiment. So she'll bring her camera. Wow. So I can't wait. You know, these are great interactions because you don't expect them, and take advantage of that moment. Give them a small snippet and let the material do all the work.
Exactly. You know, and then they will grow within themselves, and they will come to that conclusion by themselves, and then they'll be like you, wanting to tell everybody.
Well, I mean, we have such great tools now.
Yeah,
that we didn't have 3 years ago, man. We were still scratching, putting videos together, and you know, and it's just the amount of evidence now is just, I mean, I don't know, 1,000-fold, maybe 10,000. I don't know.
Yeah,
but it's.
Right. I mean, she feels weird, and I was just trying to think how I felt when I first come. It certainly wasn't weird. It was more like horrified and sick.
Yeah,
hit my stomach, you know. Like
I was pretty pissed off. Yeah,
yeah, it was a horrible moment, a realization that this can't be right. This is sickening.
Actually, I felt silly. I felt stupid. I thought, oh, of course it's flat. I mean, why did I think it? How could I thought it was a ball? You know, because when I was younger, when I say younger, when I'm 9 years old, my dad's taking me to Nigeria, okay, and we went by boat, okay. That's 2 weeks, and my first contact with flat Earth was in a Nigerian textbook at school because I had to go to school, and it stated there that the Earth is not flat, and you had Copernicus, Galileo, Kepler, and all these arguing over the shape of the Earth or whatever, these characters. And then it had the ship going over the edge. So I thought, it's not flat, is it? How silly. I mean, who would think it was flat? Look at that ship going over the edge, right? But as a child, before I saw that image, I not thinking about it, I just thought that the Earth was level, you know, flat. I didn't think of it as consciously thinking, oh, it's level. I assumed it was level kind of thing, you know? Right up until I went to elementary school and looked at the first globe. Don't know how you guys felt, but I just felt I felt stupid, and then I felt my teachers lied. My third feeling was, I'm going to tell everybody. That's how I felt.
Yeah, I think the young lady's feeling unsettled. I think that's what she's witnessing. She feels weird because she doesn't. I said to her, I think it's probably because you're now trying to undo a bit of programming, and that feels weird. That because you didn't expect to come across such a big lie, you're now feeling a bit weird that someone has lied on that kind of scale to you. It's too much to take on board. So I said, take your time. And keep close to us this year because you're going to see a lot of things, especially if you're in Brighton in February and you're meeting Roxanne and other people. They're all having she'll interact with lots of other people, so it's all good.
It's all good, man. I came the long way round. I came from 9/11 through the fluoride and medical pharmaceuticals, all those kind of spirits. The long way round and the moon landings, of course, at Gary Knoll, Gulf War syndrome, all sorts, really. Iraqi for sale, and then it was like I got to the end in December 29th, 2015. I thought, okay, I'll click on this video now because 2015 right the way through pop-up suggestions. And I totally ignored them, thinking, this is silly. Who thinks it's flat? You know what I mean? For a laugh, clicked, wasn't laughing. All the childhood questions come flooding back. Felt silly, felt annoyed because my teachers didn't tell the truth. But then again, they didn't really know, perhaps. And I said, I'm going to tell everybody after that. That's how I felt. And that's how I feel still today.
I think this is why activism kind of needs to play a huge part in this right now, because you just said then, Jin, that you these pop-up suggestions, it was the same with me, pop-up suggestions, but YouTube, as we all know now, have they've pulled the reins in on these pop-up suggestions now, and so this is what we need to bring people to the party, because YouTube is not going to be doing it for us anymore.
No, what do you call them? Algorithms they've got in place now, haven't they?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And just before the end of 2018, certain characters were trying to poo-poo activism. So I made a comment in their comments. I said, no. You cannot poo-poo activism. Activism will always have a place in our society because when technology goes down, what you got left? Word of mouth. So, we need more activism, more and more and more. And it's great. It was great to see you guys doing what you did. I just thought to myself, look at these people. They're doing the work the government should have done and are not doing. You see? And you're just ordinary people going out there, giving up your time, dedicating your time to this. It was wonderful to watch. Intoxicating, inspiring. I just wanted to be there. Do you know what I mean? Because I know I could help. I just wish I could be there. Really.
Yeah. I mean, mentioning the convention before, Jin. Any chance that you can get yourself over to the UK at some point?
I'm going to try.
Even on the Euro?
Save the money up. Got to save the money up.
Gotta save the money.
4 kids trashing me wallet.
Oh, damn. So you're not a wealthy man then, that I thought you were?
No, I'm not a wealthy. I'm a man of means, you know.
No.
Economy drive every time.
All right, okay. Yeah, well,
I wish I was. If I had the money,
same with me.
Believe you me.
I know. I just thought, you know, when you were mentioning it before, I thought, oh, he's coming over. Maybe we can get.
I might do. I'm going to work. I'm going to try my hardest to try and get some money up, put the money by, and then see what I can do. But yeah, it's not going to be easy.
Well, there is definitely a place there for you.
I'm really appreciating that. I'll tell you now, yeah, because I would love to be there. What I saw you guys do was just tremendous, you know.
Let me tell you a little anecdotal story about the Bristol one, because we created quite a buzz in Bristol, and obviously lots of people on their lunch break in the city, and one guy went back to his office and said, "You never guess what? There's some flat earthers in town with banners up and everything. They're doing leaflets and talking to people." And the guy in the office must have thought, "Oh, crumbs, I'm busy. I've got a meeting. I can't make it." Right. But after that, they then looked up the Bristol meetup, and they rocked up, just 2 guys with a pen and paper, and said, "Tell me all about it. We're kind of curious, but we have our own thoughts, and we're quite scientific. But give me your best shot." And I remember, I think it was 2 or 3 of us. There was Dan, Kelly, and Sean. We all sat around these 2 guys who were just avidly taking notes. So there you go. That's what can happen with the activism. You know, the word gets out.
Yeah.
And who knows how many other conversations happened like that. You know, there aren't people who generally look up on meetup.com, you know, where's the Bristol meetup? But that obviously happened. That's obviously where people go, you know, is there a meetup for this kind of thing? So, you know, if you are starting a meetup, you must register on Meetup, because you get so many approaches through it. And I just sort of, all of the momentum that tour created must have had.
Yeah, I keep thinking about the people all those people that you came into. Sorry, I keep thinking. Sorry, Robin, go ahead. I thought you finished.
Just to finish the sentence, which is, you know, that then must have a follow-on effect, a knock-on effect. They either have a dinner table conversation, or they go back to work, or they phone a friend and go, "I can't believe this. This guy's in town talking about the others flat. Have you heard about it?" And all of a sudden, there's a connection, and, you know, someone might say, "Yeah, I got sent a link last week. Actually, I'm looking into it." And I bet
that's
you
what
that's
I was trying to say.
on. Yeah.
That's exactly what I was going to say, that the contact that you guys made, it's just going to reverberate, because they're going to contact others, you see.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to imagine, I wonder what they're up to now. All those people you came into contact with, right from north of the country to the south, east and west. Yeah. What are they up to now? You know?
Yeah.
And you know, Speaker's Corner that summer last year, you know, when you had 50 strong.
I watched it.
Boy, oh boy, I bet that created some waves.
Well, I mean, I imagine we'll do another summer one back at Speaker's Corner, and I bet you it'd be bigger. I just know so. Isn't that right, Dave?
Oh yeah.
If I was there, I'd end up flat smacking everybody in Speaker's Corner. I said, "That's not the agenda. It's flat Earth is first." You know.
Yeah, I mean, most of them are all there. They're all doing the religious banter and arguing, fighting all over there, and you can hear it. And a lot of the time, it's quite aggressive. It is. It's quite loud. And then, you know, like, you just have to take 20 paces down the road, you know, like, just to see us, and all nice and calm and discussing, you know, and it's such a difference. And we just need more and more of it. And, you know, it's a shame.
I think Trinity Dave blew away one guy right next to him, right, you know, and I was laughing my head off, you know, because more importantly, he's flat Earth before this religion thing, you know. You've been lied to where you live. Now, how can Jesus come first? Come on now, please. Not saying, I'm not knocking Jesus. I'm just saying what's going, you know, it's more of an important agenda here.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
The guy who did the documentary Level with me, he went to Speaker's Corner to do his research, and he said you've got all this angst and tension going on in the religious corner, and then you've got this beautifully civilized, quiet backwater called Flat Earth. the most civilized conversation going on are the flat earthers, and when you think about it from a non-flat earth perspective, that's pretty balmy. I love it.
It is, yeah. You know,
it's balmy.
Yeah, but you know, we're not going to give up. It's a win-win-win. We can't lose this. Come on, you know. I'm looking forward to Roxanne and Anthony Riley's approach, where they're approaching the Minister of Education, I think, Minister of Education, and try to get the geocentric model at least introduced into school curriculum. I think that's a good move.
Yeah,
that's a revolution in itself.
Looking forward to
that. That would be monumental.
Yeah.
I got Flat Earth Meetup
I
coming
can't
up.
see them giving us that, to be honest. I can't see them handing us things like that, because at the end of the day, like, if the system knows this is, you know, it knows all of this. It knows we're doing what we're doing. It's you know, probably monitoring, you know, the sort of number of hits and so on, and the algorithms are being tweaked so that a certain number of hits are achieved each week, and a certain growth factor is achieved each week, and so on. You know, I have to feel that. So I think that you know, there is an expression. There's a thought that came to my mind the other day, and it was about the releasing of pressure on something. Like that was it. It was the streetlights coming on, the headlight. And this old lady I was driving around, she wanted tea, and I was taking her for tea, and she noticed how the streetlights come on in one area and not on another. And I said, well, it's because they can't all come on at the same time. It would overload the system. And I think that this is true. Yeah, is that Jin?
Sorry, that's me. That's me. My bad.
I think that's true here. That actually we can't all switch on at the same time, because we are an electrical system. And if this is an electrical system, we're connected to it. Then everybody switching on at the same time, it would maybe overload the system. And if you think about what a journey or what transformation the last few years have been, if you've been transforming through the flat earth knowledge and other knowledge, you know, that you know, imagine everybody was to down tools and say, this system is complete sham. We're not going to educate our children in it. We're not going to go to work in it. We're not going to pay tax in it. We're not going to. I mean, for one, all the people who are connected to their satellite TV box who wouldn't be able to give that stuff up. You know, they wouldn't want to stop the sports. They wouldn't want to stop the entertainment that they're getting going on. But the system isn't going to countenance that level of awakening. And if I think about when I look at it in my local shopping mall, when I look at the people around there, I think that a lot of the people, and I mean this with love, but a lot of the people there are semi-comatose. They're like in a semi-conscious state, going around doing their weekly thing and so on, and they need to be. They need to continue to be able to do that. And perhaps if you were in the system, you know that if these people were, if you got them to acknowledge that the earth was flat and that their entire history is light, and that, you know, they're divine beings or whatever else we are, this electromagnetic universe, if you told them that, the shock factor would be so great that, well, some of them are just going to go back to watching their daytime TV, and the rest, it would be pandemonium. It would be chaos.
Do you think some of this has got to be about, like you're saying, shocking people? Maybe we don't need to get rid of everything and get rid of the money, but if we put them in perspective, and that the people are the most important thing, our consciousness, our love, our community, our friendship, all those things, and we build on that more. Because we're not going to. How can you say everybody pack up? You're going to live in a caravan, or, you know, we're going to get off grid. It's not going to happen like that. But if the people start understanding, you know, because you said most of them are zombies out there. I mean, who wants to go out there really? Do you want to go? No, I want to stay in here. I don't want.
And we know for a fact that the system is pushing itself as hard as possible with the AI agendas, you know, the smart this, the smart that, getting everybody hooked on their TV, on their 5G or whatever it is, you know. Vaccines up to the max, more and more propaganda about walls in Mexico and walls in space, and you know, I mean, they're not stopping that. So you know, we have to do what we have to do. There's no doubt about that. But for me, this idea that there's a systemic overhaul about to kind of take hold and stuff. If it is, it'll be some sort of controlled. Right, we're changing the guard. We've realized that it's all shit and stuff. But we'll carry on banking. We'll just use electronic banking, and we'll carry on. You know, with our same politics, we'll just use female politicians in future. You know, that kind of a shift is possible while people continue watching their sport and continue doing, because actually, you see the love thing, the sort of love that animals have, or that there is in nature and so on. That's like a free consciousness, and we've had that free consciousness stolen from us generations ago, and to get us to the point that those people who are in my shopping center, they have a little shop set aside with wheelchairs, full of wheelchairs for people who visit the shopping center, who can come and use the wheelchairs. And it's a shame that you're in a wheelchair and so on. And I'm not having a go at that, but you know what I'm saying is that our society has become so disabled, so unwell, that the consciousness that we're in, the consciousness that we're living in, is way lower than that. So if you had to ask a yogi from some ashram somewhere in the Himalayas, say, you know, how do you gauge the consciousness level of your ashram by comparison to my local shopping center? Well, that would be chalk and cheese, right? So in a real world scenario, how do you get the chalk to be the cheese? And how do you change the shopping center to the ashram? You don't do it by overnight telling everybody that we've lied to you. It's not going to, I don't think it's going to work that way. It's going to come about by a higher consciousness coming from people, you know, us, and being the antithesis of this computer generated or this online you know, multimedia mindset that is totally caught up in the system food, the system way, the system entertainment, and so on. Those people, I say, may well be lost this time round, and will have to come back and meet our ancestors who will show them the light. I'll yield the floor.
Yeah. I just think somehow we could get this, because everybody's zombies. How are you going to get through to zombies?
Yeah,
we woke up.
Thank you very much.
We woke up, didn't we? It came to us, if you know what I mean. The wake up.
I see the art of war is a couple of things, isn't it? Is you attack at all angles. Go ahead, Jin.
Challenge. I still think it's worth it. You've got to do it.
Sorry, Jin, we didn't hear you. Jin? Oh, every now and again he gets a bit of lagging, or he's calling in from Japan.
I was just saying that I do think.
Jin, we can't hear you.
I was just saying that. Sorry, I was just saying that I still think it's worth a challenge to go the way Anthony Riley and Paroxan are thinking. It's still worth the challenge anyway, you know?
No, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not saying that that's not worth doing. I think that everything should be. I think that everything should be pursued. It is, like you said, Robin, you know, at all angles. The art war, because, you know, the war on the consciousness is from every angle. You know, we have been onslaughted from every angle. So at every point where we can go into a public meeting or do something that causes people to stop, then, you know, it's not necessarily to change the system, it's to change people within the system.
Yeah.
You see, it's the people that are within the system that will eventually be the undoing of the system. But the system itself can't change. The system has to be the system. and it wants to continue. It's feeding itself.
Can I make an observation? As Anthony said, when he read the statute, the two acts that he read, that in the Education Act, or the two statutes in there, they actually made him think these were written by a flat earther, because they seem to be the chink in the armor. And then I thought, well, who better to have by your side than Erin Brockovich herself? I'm sorry, I mean Roxanne Glenn beside you. And we mustn't forget Erin Brockovich is a real true story. And she took down a monumental insurance company who were poisoning people in their homes and getting away with it. So
there we are.
I just think, you know, when you have those two insights, there's no harm in giving it a go, because, you know, there's guys that know how to sneak in and then throw an absolute cluster bomb inside that system. And maybe what will happen is, you know, I can't presuppose what will happen, but it'd be a great outcome if it turns into a high court battle that then gets, you know, publicized. And at the very least, they have to back down. And then there's some televised bipartisan presentations in the headmaster's office, which we will take maximum advantage of and film, and take the press with us, and take documentary filmmakers with us. And that's the sort of thing that, you know, as a bare minimum, I'd love to see, is like, you know, some coverage, some exposure. So at least you can get even like a mini panorama documentary that says, here's an embarrassed headmaster. Here's a governing body and an MP squirming because they don't have the answers. That would be a result in my eyes. But I suspect Anthony's aiming higher. So give it a go is what I'd say. You know,
yeah, give it a go, mate. Give it a go, definitely.
Do you know what came into my mind then? Citizen Smith, power to the people.
People,
yeah, absolutely.
The baby cries.
But I totally agree. Dave. You move away with positive energy towards a solution, and if homeschooling and alternative communities, and, you know, we've got the internet now, we don't really need a teacher as long as we know what good material looks like.
Very true.
We can move towards that as the positive energy, and take people with us. That's exactly how it should be in the end, I think. We want to make the old model defunct, don't we?
Yes, we do definitely, yeah,
or offer people an alternative, because really there aren't many alternatives when you look around. You know, it's like shit. When the shit hits the fan and your kid's sick or whatever, what do you do but go to the doc, because, you know, you don't really know of the alternatives, or the alternatives are too costly. So yeah, I think this is about growing that organically, because the system.
The saddest thing, Dave, the people don't know because they just don't know. They don't know because they don't know.
Yeah, they don't know. They don't know.
But let me tell you, the 20-year-olds really waking up to food problems, though, big time. My son and my daughter are wide awake to the food industry.
Yeah, well done.
Yeah, so, you know, if that's the sample, then I know that others in her age group are very conscious about what they eat when they go out, and what they buy, and what they put in their mouths, you know?
Yeah, so important that is. I just wanted to briefly touch on the vaccines, if it's possible, guys. Just a short one. Is that okay?
Go for it.
Oh,
Go
thanks,
for it,
guys.
then.
Yeah. Okay, and I know everyone's probably aware of it. Okay. Basically, let's look at the situation of vaccines. Okay. First, we've got like the weapons industry is the largest grossing industry in the world today, closely followed by the pharmaceutical industry. Okay. Now, the pharmaceutical industry and the doctors who administers those vaccines, they have what they call legal immunity. Right, legal immunity. And the reason for that legal immunity is because, in their own words, vaccines are unavoidably dangerous, is what they've said. Unavoidably dangerous, which is why they've got legal immunity now. Okay. So with that in mind, why would you want to vaccinate your child? Why would you? the doctors don't vaccinate their children, for example, and yet they expect us to have our children vaccinated. In America, for example, from birth to 6-year-old to the age of 6, they would have received 16 different types of vaccines 49 times. 49 times they would have received that. What do you think of that, guys?
Oh my goodness.
16 different types of vaccines 49 times.
Horrific.
By the age of 6. I remember three only when I was at school, and that was mumps, rubella, and some other one. Measles.
Polio?
Yeah, measles. That was it. Measles, mumps, rubella. 3 in our school lives. How about you guys? Do you remember how many times you had your vaccines?
Yeah, same. Tetanus as well was the 4th one.
Right. And can you believe that there's a connection to autism, asthma, these chronic diseases at this point? You know, and people are not getting any compensation for the damage that these vaccines cause.
There's quite a decent lawsuit there, isn't there?
Isn't it illegal not to have injections? They make you have them in America, don't they?
Yeah, you can't go to school. You won't be able, your children won't be able to enter school if you don't have these mandatory vaccines. Yeah, vaccinations. Yeah. You can't go to school.
That might suit a load of flat earthers. And hey, won't get them vaccinated. Hey, they don't have to go to school.
Yeah, but I mean, this is the problem: is that most parents need their child to go to school so they can get to work and earn the money. So, you know, there is this catch-22. My sister is in California, and she's gotten a medical exemption for her son to have further vaccinations. But yeah, the vaccine agenda is definitely part of the population control agenda. You know?
Thank you, Dave. Yeah.
And I am starting to wonder. This is obviously a little bit kind of colorful as a thought process, but you've got to allow the mind to wonder when you think about the things that we think about. And something that has come to my mind is that if this is an electrical torus field, an energetic system, then it might well be that the people on Earth are a very important and integral part to the way that the system works. The electrical pulsing that our heart generates into this system might well be its lifeblood. Who knows? That's just a thought for you to consider. But if that's true, then it may also be that, like in the human body, too much blood can cause you to be ill. What if it's the case that too many humans can cause the Earth to be unbalanced? And if you knew that, and you were, well, we can only manage to have a certain number on the Earth. I know this is playing right into the hands of the freaking freaks who run this place, but it's just a thought. It's like, well, you know, why are they culling populations so hard? What is the purpose of it? Why fuck with us so much? Why not let us have the land? You know, why not give people because a more agrarian type of lifestyle is available to most of all of us if we funded, if we allowed, if we enabled that kind of
thing. That's the one thing they don't want, Dave. They don't want us to have our freedom and find ourselves and get our land and do it. They don't want that.
No.
But and live in utopia.
Yeah, the certification of citizens and so on is very much a part of that control thing. There's no doubt about that. But there definitely seems to be. And then of course, when you add in what is mud flood and have there been resets in our recent few hundred years history? You know, when you look around at the mud flood type evidence, you start to think, yes, they're not telling us that because perhaps they bring us into an area and they reduce the population in a large, one fell swoop all at a time. Who knows? But just these are thoughts that I wanted to throw into the room.
When you actually work it out, we're basically living in some kind of communism.
It's communism, it's socialism. I was saying to my son earlier, I said, if you had to ask people 100 years ago, what they made of today's government, and they would be flabbergasted at the extent to which government has reached into our lives.
Right.
You know, a government of 100 years ago was far more respectful of the people. You know, there was a lot more distance between them and you know, but now they've got their hands on your pulse, in your pocket, in your house. You know, they're all over the place, and they're all over you, the system, and that's only going to, that net, or that system is only going to tighten, I suspect. Which is why, you know, I think
is that the reason why we've got these mobile phones with all this 5G and stuff? You know, the phones monitor where you've been. It's a bit like they probably know on a bigger database where we all are, if you know what I mean. They can track us. They can.
Well, it's not. I mean, yes, they can track us, but that's the kind of, you know, they don't necessarily. Yes, they can track mass people. They're not really interested in you and me where we move. I think it's more we you know, we see trends and so on, and but with these phones, we are slowly, and my children, my older children, are much happier to give the stuff away. They'll give away their location all the time to the phone. They'll say, yeah, you can check where I am. They will get the phone to remind them things, tell them things. How much screen time have you had? You know, the phone is becoming almost like, hey, let me ask the phone what I should wear today. Let me ask the phone what this. Let me ask the phone that, right? And I'll Google this and I'll Google that. And in fact, and I've been doing a little bit of research myself the last few days, and I'm like stunned at how you know, I find the information on these search, you know, Wikipedia and so on, to be so misleading and at odds with what we know. So I think that we're giving away our minds to these computers, and the computers will tell us when to do, what to eat, how much calories are in the food we've just eaten, you know, basically when to go to bed soon enough. And so it'll be our little nanny in our pocket.
Yeah.
I think a phone tells a lot of things because they do track. I know this is something completely different, but some people have those health things on their phone, so they'll know what people's heart rates are. They can do all sorts of things via your phone. You know, that's how they know when someone's died.
Yeah, but the point about the phone telling me my heart rate is that I'm going to ask an application to measure my heart rate and tell me how I'm feeling, rather than intrinsically knowing myself and knowing how I feel, going outside and knowing whether or not I need to put on another jumper. And, you know, so it's really just, actually, as I was saying earlier about, we're losing, science studies have shown that we're losing 50% of our, or we're talking to each other, or face-to-face interactions have dropped 50%, and in the last 10 years because of social media. And so the phone will eventually become the sort of portal to the rest of my life. You know, I will only deal with things that come via my technology. So that's where we're rapidly losing out with each other and ourselves. Yep.
You mean we can't survive unless we've got the phone?
Well, we can't survive without the phone, and we sort of self-identify our world via the phone. You know, in fact, our world almost becomes the only most reaction. And I mean, obviously, I'm generalizing here, but you know, there'll always be those people that'll be outdoor pursuitists and won't want to touch their phone other than for, you know, during office hours or whatever, you know, of course. But I think there's increasing numbers of people who, well, you see it walking, you know, you see people walking around the shopping centers. They're not looking around at anything other than their phone. And, you know, this is only, you know, people are happy to wear the phone on their wrist now and have all of that kind of technology and that instant, I need to respond to stuff all the time, you know, be on the go. There's that dopamine rush of stuff going on. It's a feedback loop that it'll eventually be that people are only connected into their tech, and that's their only connection with. We will have lost Mother Nature entirely, and we will give her away because we no longer respect her. An ant, a fly, an insect comes into your space, and it's an invader from a foreign planet. You know, this is where it's going.
I went to the pictures recently and seen people. This at the cinema. We were watching First Man, and I watched people actually at the cinema on their phones. You know, like, and it just, and aside, and it wasn't just one or two. There was quite a lot of people on their phones,
messaging the person next to them.
It's bad. Yeah.
I think I know what Dave means. I mean, do you know what? I hadn't even thought about it myself. And then flat Earth, and you think, oh yeah, bees hover, they don't fly, and children don't even really know that.
Yeah.
We just don't even know the basic things. Like, maybe this one's boring, but I lived in a town that was called Hungerford. So the Ford at the end means that used to have water. People don't know these things. Ink pen, so that would have the sheep. This is why they're called the names they are. People don't even know any of those things anymore. You know, we're losing everything. I mean, they're just one thing, but I'm just saying that's what's happening. People don't even know those things anymore. Don't know what's around them. It's just because we're living off the television, isn't it? Or the phone.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the wall-to-wall entertainment, and just, I mean, just not, I don't mean to pick on social media, but you know, Facebook and Instagram and all these, even you know, YouTube, they are sort of feedback loop systems, and they are actually highly negative. They're saying that there's, you know, the levels of depression in the sort of 17 to 25-year-olds have rocketed. It's now the highest cause of suicide, death amongst that age group is suicide rather than accidents or anything else. You know, so no, there's no doubt that the technology has a rapacious appetite, and it is really seductive. You know, I have a 17-year-old son who is, you know, he enjoys a fair bit of technology, it's fair to say, and you know, I think the Japanese, actually, Jenny, you might see this, but the Japanese culture seems to be a little further ahead than that. And you know, already you see men no longer able to form relationships with women, not wanting them. They're, you know, rises in homosexuality and all this sort of thing, which again is part of the, you know, the population control agenda, I think. So, you know, whether it's to eventually get people to completely switch off and maybe plug in, you know, a little bit like the Matrix, eventually get to a point where people have given up on humanity and they're just happier to be plugged in and say, listen, we don't need all that fuss. The system will take care of us. I'll just go and enjoy the ride. I'm not plugged in. Get your ass to Mars. That was that movie with Schwarzenegger. Hey, it was Total Recall.
Yeah.
You know, where people in a kind of some sort of Total Recall kind of thing, you know, and they're stuck.
It's really weird. When I watched that, it was like we were watching that. Oh, that's happening in that film. And when he goes to Mars, and you know everything you're listening to on the televisions and the screens is all a lie. But actually, that's where we are now.
Yes, and one of the other analogies I love about that movie is when he pulls the tracking device out of his nose. That is the same movie, right? He pulls a tracking device out of his nose, and I think that this is a very painful thing. But this is some of us cleanse ourselves of the system is that uncomfortable, you know. So because I you know, I try and do my yoga, you know, a bit of yoga and a bit of this and a bit of that, and enema. I'll mention that actually, as it's a men's thing. Because I think prostate cancer is very avoidable. Obviously, to reduce the amount of meat in your diet is a very important factor. But you know, by doing enema, actually, a very embarrassing thing, and that I'm even talking about it. But this is when I do it, I'm like, this sometimes goes through my mind. It's like this is the scene of Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Dave, is that coffee enema?
I was just going to ask that. Is it coffee?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but it's like, it's a little bit like the Arnold Schwarzenegger pulling that thing out of his nose. It's you know, we're not programmed to do this kind of a thing, right? But this is the sort of thing that we need to do if we're going to cleanse ourselves of the system, in my opinion.
Toxicity.
Would you do that yourself, Dave, or did you go somewhere?
I do it myself because it's very easy to do. You just get like an enema bag, an enema kit, which has got a little bag. That needs to be sort of held up at shoulder height kind of thing if you're on the floor, and then a bit of pipe work that goes up the back door, and you know, it doesn't take long. And actually, every time I do it, I'm amazed, surprised, and dumbfounded that I was going to spend the day with that inside me. So it's in addition to when you go to the toilet, say in the morning. This is in addition to that. You know, this is not like instead of that. This is like you've gone to the toilet, had your normal kind of movement, and then you go and have an enema, and you're like, shh, where the hell was that hiding? There's a whole nother poop just found its way out of myself. So I've only been doing this for about a year or so, and I'm saying it because as part of, I guess, giving people information that is useful. This is one thing that I've found to be incredibly, surprisingly useful, and I think that when you look into it, there's colon cancers and, as I said earlier, prostate problems for men. I think that I might be addressing my potential problem, and I would highly recommend it as part of your Arnold Schwarzenegger pulling the plug out of your nose process.
I do agree with you. It's one of the things that's not talked about, but prostate cancer is quite a bad thing, and actually most men will get it at some stage in their life.
Yeah, apparently, but we know there's so many things that we can do to avoid cancers altogether, and
Right.
the sorts of food that we eat are critical. The business of having a body that is kept at an alkaline state rather than in an acidic state, because a lot of our food is causing acidosis, and this is what causes cancers. And I think when it comes to that, my father-in-law died 9 months ago with colon cancer-related problems, and he liked his meat, and he didn't think enough about the throughput of the pipework, because from your mouth to your anus, it's one unbroken pipe. And our modern diets are so soft and sludgy that things can kind of collect in the pipework. So you start as a young child with pipework that's the size of your baby finger, and you can end up with pipework that's the size of your wrist. And it's so full and caked with on the inside with dried material that's been packed in there since you were dehydrated 3 years ago, or you got drunk 5 years ago, and it's just sat there in a little pocket. Rotting away, your body sort of covering it in mucus and doing really well to sort of manage this as part of your life aging, your life process. But if you put health, leafier, lighter foods in more often at the top, and then do a little bit of work around at the bottom there, I can promise you it's definitely pays dividends.
Thanks for that, Dave. I hope every man and everybody's listening to that.
Well, I'm paying attention, and I probably will be trying that at some point. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would suggest the coffee, and if possible, distilled water, because you don't really want to be using regular tap water with that, because it's it's got chlorines and it's not. I mean, I did do it. I have done it with the regular tap water, so I'm not saying you can't or shouldn't. I'm just saying it's best to do it with the cleanest water you can.
Yeah. And is it stone cold water or room temperature, or what? I mean, no.
That's a good. Just room temperature would be best. I mean, I think you don't want to cause a shock to the body. You can use warm water. You can use warm water, not hot water, obviously, but you can use warm water, and I have done that, because it's about, if you think about the pipe work, and if you think about how things can kind of gather over the years, then it is about, washing it out. Cleaning,
as they say, dislodging the stuff that's stuck up there.
Yeah. And if you've ever looked into, parasites and doing like a parasite cleanse, then I can assure you there's definitely stuff lurking around inside of our pipework, and they reckon that it weighs a couple of kilos. It's a lot of stuff. Can weigh a few kilos, and
wow.
And I did a pine oil turpentine cleanse, and I think on day 3, you know, it was a surprise to me what left my body. I have to be honest. So there is a lot of stuff. You know, our bodies do need certain parasites apparently, but I think we get an overgrowth of them, and the modern diet kind of, in some cases, sort of allows really large forests of these things to grow inside your belly about it. And I don't even think the dogs, when they look inside you, they think they've been taught that that's some kind of mucus or whatever. It's not really anything. It's just the body's natural process rather than it being something else.
What time would you be doing this? Like, you've had your meal, an hour later, you've gone to the toilet, you've passed it away, flushed it down the toilet. Would that be the time?
Yeah, for me, that's been generally, it's my preference is to. I mean, actually, I had hemorrhoid trouble for quite a lot of years, and I even had a hemorrhoid operation. So I've had intense pain in the nether regions in my lifetime, and so I had been looking for ways to kind of
relief.
Well, after the operation, it was absolute like shitting glass. It was. So that was really painful, but I went through a process of trying to, you know, I always keep myself super clean and whatnot. I was always freaked out about, you know, keeping myself super clean. So I've always wanted to kind of go for a shower after shit anyway. For me, I've always had this kind of mindset that if a bird shat on my arm, I wouldn't take some dry paper and wipe it off and be happy with that. I'd have to get some water and wash it off with maybe some soap or whatever. So, I've been that kind of a guy where I wash myself in the shower or whatever after a shit. So for me to have...
Howard Hughes, hang on a second. Howard Hughes syndrome, it sounds like.
Yeah, well, whatever. So I would prefer to do it after a movement because you know the funny thing is that you think that your image of what the colon looks like down below and so on isn't actually that accurate. What our science has told us isn't actually as accurate as surprise, and so you can go to the toilet and have a healthy movement and think, all right, I'm clear for the day, I'm good to go, but then you go into an enemy and you go, well, then I wasn't clear for the day. How did I not even feel that I needed to kind of get rid of that? That was up there somewhere. But it's a sizable movement that will occur, and for the first 6 months that I did it every day for the first 6 months, and my expression was that we are like mud men, like we're carrying around inside of our intestines a silt. Yeah. We're carrying a silt. It's like such a fine silt, and it's layered on and layered inside of you, that particularly for blokes like who get a little beer tummy, a beer belly, we call it, like that protruded belly. Well, a lot of that I used to, because I've been in the fitness industry a lot of my lifetime, I used to tell people that was adipose fat, and actually a lot of that is just your pipe work has become thick,
clogged up.
Yeah, but because yesterday's sweet corn can come through no problem at all. It's because there's always a little passageway right through the middle of the pipe work that's going to stay relatively clear. And so yesterday's curry can come through without too much delay, but it's just going to pass 3 years ago's half steak dinner that didn't make it out because you were dehydrated at that time. So it ended up getting stuck to, or as I say, this mud, because so much of our pasta and so much of our food is so highly refined that when you break it down in the gut, it's just the most tiny mud material. That's why they don't like you to feed it to the geese, the white the white bread, for example, because it ruins their gut, as it does ours. But our body has the ability to stretch the gut, stretch the pipe work, and just kind of make a pathway through. So sorry, that was a mess ago. So I've discovered that some of my belly size went down probably 1 or 2 inches, just simply because I think that my intestines are a lot thinner now, or somewhat thinner now, because I'm carrying less mud around inside of me. So that's my advice. And, you know, I really, I mean, it took me a long time to get to that point that I was comfortable with that, because, you know, we're programmed not to really even talk about what we got between our legs or downstairs or whatever, you know what I mean? We don't really talk a lot about these things in our culture. But it does cause a lot of illness, and it makes sense. I mean, any passageway, any tunnel, whatever, that the lining of it starts getting furred up and so on. Over time, something's got to give somewhere, you know? And,
yeah.
Generally,
especially with processed foods that we eat. Well, I don't eat anyway, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think there's just, we just do not have, you know, if you look at the, say, some of the tribes in Africa, some of, you know, that have never really westernized their diet, those men typically have got the flattest of tummies, and then as soon as those men westernize, those cultures westernize, you see the men starting to fill up, and they really start to fill out and stuff like that, and it's a symptom of you know, the type of food we eat, and the sort of retardation of the flow. You know, it's just not, you eat a kilo of food, you only shit out 950 grams. The other 50 grams,
where's it gone?
something.
Yeah.
We, you know, I used to tell people that 50 grams would have been burned off, you know, through energy, you know, doing exercise and so on. I don't buy into that model really anymore. I'm not saying there's no loss of weight at all, but I think we've never done that. We've never said, oh, let's weigh everything we drink and eat, and then let's weigh everything we pee and poo, and see what the difference is over a year. And you know, but I would suggest to you that we're, you know, 0.1% of everything that we eat gets stuck inside somewhere, somehow. Sometimes it's a bit more for some people, and sometimes it's a bit less of a percentage for others. But there's always something getting stuck behind, and we need to be mindful of that. And like Arnold Schwarzenegger, we need to find ways to remove that stuff in any way that works for you.
Okay, one moment.
Yes, it's our diet, isn't it? All that pro and bleached salt and all that kind of stuff. Do you know something? Most people don't even realise that we should have our shoes off and be touching the earth and get the negative ions from them. Even that would be good for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Most people don't even know what negative ions are.
Yeah, it's amazing that we haven't been taught that. And what I mean, you can, and one of the most obvious is that people are being taught that the sun is to be feared, you know, rather than to be embraced and used as a source of energy and, you know, whatever. So we've been completely. So that's why it's just, you know, it's important that whilst you're doing your activism, you're also active. If you know you've been lied to about the entire construct of the world you live in, then you have to know that everything you've been taught with regards to what's good for you is likely to be upside down. And these are some of the things that I've discovered that are, you know, it's sort of activism for yourself. It's activism beyond the initial shock of, fuck me, they've lied about everything. It's like, okay, so how do you take care of yourself? Because if you're not taking care of yourself first, then they kind of achieve what they were trying to achieve with you. You know, your story isn't surely to be sickened and to be weakened and to be to be reduced by the various toxins and poisons and so on. Your story is surely to be rising and flourishing and growing and so on. And if you're still wearing the Arnold Schwarzenegger device up in your nose that's been given to you from birth, then you're not going to liberate Mars. Yeah, I yield.
Thanks for all that information. I hope that's helped a few people or made people think. Yeah, we don't talk about a lot of these things. We're a bit stiff off the lip over here, aren't we?
Yeah,
that's good. It's good, Dave. I did some YouTube research after I saw you mentioning it on your channel, mate.
Oh, cool.
Definitely worth thinking about.
Yeah, I've been aware of this coffee enema from Charlotte Garson of the Garson therapy. So
yeah,
Gershon.
Gerson.
Yeah, Gerson. That's right. Yeah, Charlotte Gerson. She's in Mexico with her clinic. Yeah.
Yeah.
She
Wasn't
recommends
it her
it.
father set it up?
Yeah, it was her father who set it up. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's well into her. I think she's into her 90s now.
Yeah, and probably
Yeah.
looks pretty virile for it.
She's very, very energetic. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I highly recommend this, and a bunch of other things. You know, we were talking about distilled water earlier, but there's a bunch of other things. You know, just be taking care of yourself too. I guess this is part of the story.
Yeah.
Yeah, and sort of almost going, it's almost like going back, isn't it? Like wives' tales, they're all the truth. They're not wives' tales like they told us. Nothing's like they've told us, is it?
Yeah.
I do think supermarkets took over, though. You know, I was married to a farmer once, and, you know, the supermarkets dictate everything. And they didn't used to, but then they did. So the reason we get the meat the way we do is because of the supermarkets. You know, it's all dictated by the supermarkets. And you know, like, I know people might not mind this, slightly different subject to what Dave was talking about, but even the 5p bag. You know, why are they charging us that? They made us have the plastic, and we're usually buying their food. They should be paying for it. It's just ridiculous. They're making us pay for everything.
Yeah.
You know, like we buy the food, we have to buy the plastic, and then we have to pay for it to be taken away.
Better yet, they make you buy your own poison.
Yeah.
You know, and tax you for it. I mean, it's just insane. And yes, the 5p tax, and then now it's like they offer you 10p bag. Oh, do you want a 10p bag? You know, because it's a bit stronger than the crappy 5p bags that they've got. So, yeah.
Yeah. I tend to take my own bag anyway these days, really, when I go shopping.
But again,
an eco bag,
you know,
I'll just take that, really.
Yeah, but again, Jin, you know, this creates a certain mindset that by the time you're 60 and 70 years old, you know, the whole business of going shopping with a bag has become, you know, such a thing. I see people walking around now with their Tesco bags and their Asda bags and so on. They're almost, because they're a bag for life, so they're actually advertising for Tesco's now, because they'll walk around.
I was saying.
They'll walk around ahead of time with their pre-bought shopping bag for life and all this sort of thing. And you know, I've done some gardening over the last few years, and some of it's been for older folk. And what I see with these older folk is they spend an inordinate amount of time washing out plastic containers, preparing tins and shit like that is going to go and get crushed and melted and, you know, and what have you. And you know, I'm not about wasting. I don't like wasting, but human time, your energy time, is the most precious thing here. You see, we were given this creation to enjoy, and that it has metals that we use and plastics that we use and so on. Use them well, use them wisely, and so on. But to then have to give up so many hours and minutes and pennies and this and that of your time and so on, it's just another war on the mind. That's for me what it is. And I see it with these, as I say, with these old ladies. They have lost days and days of their life fretting and cleaning tubs for pot plants and shit like that they're going to take back to get recycled and so on. And it's like, oh my lord, it's just another
nearly everything we eat. Nearly everything we eat when we're buying it from the supermarket is wrapped in plastic. Everything, really, isn't it? Or a tin.
Yeah. Now, look, I mean, I'm not for the supermarket model, and I would love to see, you know, many more small farms and people living in small farms and so on. But when you've got a city model like you do now, and people eating in the way that they do, you can see why it you know, it becomes mechanized. It's almost like the natural response to that, because we need food at such an alarming rate now. Perhaps, you know, I think that we forced ourselves into this situation. It's like, if you've got to feed 300 children in a school, well, you don't allow them all to cook their own meal. You cook them, you know, a big pot of food, and you dole it out one spoon at a time. And that's the kind of, it's almost like the natural reaction to that. I mean, it's the same as the vaccine program. Let's say the vaccine program was always designed as to sterilize the children, say 1 in 20 children, say. And but the side effect was also that you started getting autism. Well, they'd be more than happy to say, oh, well, then let's start making drugs for the autistic as well, the autistic syndrome. That creates another layer of complication that needs addressing, and it justifies the need for more government, more pills, more this, more social services, and so on. So these things are really sometimes just symptomatic of the way that we've been kettled, housed.
Yeah, in the system, in the program.
Yeah, and of course, the moment you do that, and you go, okay, so we need 1 million chicken pieces every hour or every day or whatever. So we need farmers who can produce, a large number. We can't be buying, 5 chickens from Joe and 3 chickens from him over there and so on. We need 50,000 chickens at a time from farmers, and then of course those farmers are incentivized one way or another to cut corners and to make their farm more and more profitable and make their chickens grow more and more quickly. And so the vicious cycle continues, and we end up in the place where we're eating cardboard chicken.
We sort of are, aren't we? Anyway, it's a bit off-putting when you know that it's all full of all these chemicals, and then they pump water in it, and they do this. It's not very exciting, really, is it? Let alone they've killed the animal anyway. There's a whole thing in here. I think a lot of people don't realise it because everything's wrapped in plastic.
Yeah, I watched a sheep being slaughtered when I was about 10 years old. I cried very hard about that. Actually, I watched its neck being cut, and yeah, that was a foundational moment for me. But we're so programmed into the eating of the meat and so on. But for me, my personal journey along this way is definitely realizing that my cat just knocked the phone down. She's that's her ass. We should be tending to each other more in a more loving way, even certainly with the animals too, and the plants, but the animals. And it gets harder and harder to justify to oneself, any sort of killing, so I mean, animals die, and I think animals that die, perhaps it's good not to waste them, but the mass slaughter and so on is something that I want to say something actually that's probably highly contentious, and if there's a chat room going, then it may erupt a little bit. But having said what I've just said about, I think we should be very mindful about how much meat we eat, and I'm not convinced by veganism, and it's just my opinion. It's one of those things. It's funny. It's one of those subjects like the Holocaust. You're not really meant to talk about. But I think for me, the spread of veganism is so impressive as an idea, and that it has to have been given wings by something else, legs by something. It must be motivated by something else, and one might say it's simply motivated by another market, another point of profit. But I have to wonder whether it isn't actually motivated by a desire to find just another wedge to drive between groups of people. I'd find it hard to hang around with people who glorified the killing of animals. I've never found that to be pleasant at all, to spend time around people who enjoy killing animals. There are a particular psychopathy there. I'm not for that. But neither am I this idea that the only way that humans are healthy is by avoiding all types of meat, and that by nurturing an animal lovingly and so on, and then using its energy, which is all wave, whether it's a plant or an animal, and using it and caring for it, and it dying, and then you using it as food and clothing is to respect it. So, you know, that's my view on that. And for me, I don't even like the idea of there being a label around the food that you eat. It's just, we come from a world of labels, and we should know that the labels are designed for, you know, one purpose, really.
The chemicals. The labels are designed for the chemicals.
For the chemicals.
That they put in it.
Oh, well, no, but yeah. No, but I mean, the label's like homosexual and...
oh, right, okay, sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Dearie me.
no, yeah, no, I was meaning like those sort of labels, like taking a label like a you know, vegetarian is to, you know, create an identity that, I mean, is really unnecessary. I think, you know, in an ideal world, we would kill nothing. We would need to kill nothing, and there would be no need for killing. So that's what we strive for. But at the moment, you know, humans are being slaughtered by the millions every year in some kind of crazy game. I think as I move into this,
hang on, Robin, hang on. So Robin needs to go. So yeah, we've been going for 2.5 hours. Robin.
Yes, sorry to interrupt you, Dave. You're in full flight there, mate. But I just need to say I'm probably going to crash soon because it's been a long day and I've got another one tomorrow. But thank you so much for having me on, Karen.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Robin.
Pleasure being with you, Dave. Robin. So hopefully we'll see you soon. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll definitely speak to everyone again. So thanks.
Yeah, and keep us up.
Perfect.
Updated.
Much love and respect to everyone on the panel. Thanks, guys.
And you too, man.
Cheers,
Thanks a lot.
Take care, guys.
Cheers.
Right. Bye for now.
Cheers, Robin.
Bye, darling. Yeah, we've been going like it's 11:30. I know that Dave's tired. Do we want to sort of wind down a bit now?
That's cool by me.
I was very interested. I think it's very interesting what you're talking about. We don't talk about enough of these things anyway, do we?
Well, you can always call me back.
You can always call me Al.
Oh, it's been brilliant. Yeah, Jason, is there anything you'd like to sort of add then? I mean, I haven't actually seen you in ages on Sun and Moon. I know you've been really busy. So is there anything you'd like to add anyway today?
No, I think kind of like covered it mostly earlier on. Other than a shout out again for Lisa's in Glastonbury. Her meet up soon.
Is that the 2nd of February?
Yeah, that's right. I did post it. I posted it in there before. It's somewhere there posted.
Glastonbury.
Yeah, in Glastonbury. So I'm going to try and make an effort and see if I can attend that one. You know, I love the fact that people are making some effort to put these meetings together and that. And yeah, if I can show a little bit of support, it's only up the road. It's not far. So I may just go along to that one if I can get the car.
Where do you live then, by the way? I've forgotten.
I'm in Torbay, so it's near Torquay in Torbay, a place called Malden. So it's a couple of miles away, and I'm
really?
I
used to live in Newton.
Go on.
So I used to live in Newton Abbot. My first child was born in Torbay Hospital.
Really? Because I mean, I spent most of my all my school years in Newton Abbot. You know, so yeah, that's I went to.
My Home Agricultural College, which isn't there anymore. But there's two things. Trago Mills and the Bobby Tracy roundabout. Do you know about that one? Everybody knows the Bobby Tracy roundabout.
Yeah.
And Trago Mills.
Yeah, that's right.
They don't
say that again.
Have them up here, but they do have them down there in the West Country. There's a few.
Yeah, one-stop shop, isn't it?
Yeah, but when I was, they built it. Well, one of them I saw, they built it like a castle around it. There was animals there. It's just like having a shopping mall, but it's not necessarily full of, you know, like the main street ones, is it? It's full of other shops.
Yeah, well, Traeger Mills, they for the past, I'd have to say, 30 years, they've been an advocate there for for Brexit for for over 30 years.
Have they? Wow.
Yeah, it's always been on all their sides. Yeah, it's quite interesting, considering like what's actually now happening, and yeah, they've been advocating it for all this time.
Anyway, yeah, so I lived in Newton Abbot, and I lived in Bishop Stainton and Chudley Knighton a long time ago, many moons ago.
But you're well travelled like myself then.
and the Grockles. Is it Grockles?
Well, that's right. Yeah, all the Grockles keep coming down and spoiling it for us.
The Grockles are the holiday makers. That's what the people down there call them, Grockles.
It's only because you can't drive anywhere. There's too many Grockles.
Anyway, we're sort of finishing now. Kosta, are you there, Kosta? Kosta? He might have fallen asleep. He works quite hard.
He's muted still.
Kosta, he's probably nodded off. Yeah, Jin, do you want to say anything?
No, I'm just listening to what's going on here at the moment. Everything's fine.
Yeah, well, no, we're finishing now, so I'm just asking you for your last words.
Oh, right. Well, it's been nice being on your channel again today. Thank you very much. And big shout to all the guys and dolls in the chat room, and hope to see you all again. Thanks very much.
Hey, what about you, Trinity 4? I'll call you Trinity 4.
Oh, well, thank you. And did I talk too much?
No, you didn't. No, it was like we don't talk enough about these things anyway. We're all humans and we've all got health problems or whatever. We just don't talk about them here, do we? You must notice that everybody doesn't talk about anything.
Except for all this week now, I'm going to be thinking about enemas, and I'm going to be thinking about,
Don't think of me at the same time, please.
Yeah, I think I'll have a lot on my mind when that's happening.
Focus on your own.
Every morning day. Flatty, do you want to say anything?
Yeah, the anima thing, that was absolutely just left field, came out of nowhere. I love that. I was like, wow, okay. Somebody with experience doing it. That's really a first time I've had the chance to hear something like that. That was great.
I'm blushing now.
I've heard of coffee enemas for years. I never heard anybody tell any stories about doing it. And
oh man,
yeah, you're right, man. It's all that fast food and stuff from decades ago. It's just sitting in there. It probably needs to be cleaned out. It can't hurt to clean it out.
Yeah, and if you can imagine,
makes total sense.
If you can imagine heavy metals maybe sitting in, like, they would drop to the bottom of the pipework, so they need to be pulled out and stuff. Yeah, there's work to be done. I'm glad that resonated with you. Thank you.
Totally. Yeah, I was washing my car listening. I'm like, wow.
You have a hose pipe in your hand.
It's like, I'm hungry, man.
You have to film it though. You need some activism.
That's some serious activism. That's activatism.
Cractivism.
Craptivism. I don't know. I got a Flat Earth meetup coming up in Hollywood on the 19th. It's a Saturday, Karen. And I got I got a bunch of flat earthers. We're going to meet up, and then we're going to go out to Hollywood Boulevard that night and do some activism, whatever you want to call it. We'll be out there promoting flat Earth with Hori Sheet, Caroline, myself, Snack, Josh, Uber, yeah. We got Dan the Waterman, some other people. I'm sure I think Aaron's coming.
Oh, that's good. Or Aaron Project Lumen.
Yeah. And so we're going to be at a pizza parlor for a couple of hours, and then we're going to go out to the Hollywood Boulevard, which is like right around the corner. And a lot of people will probably walk over there. And it's that close. So anyway, that'll be interesting. And again, that's on the Saturday the 19th. I guess we're gonna start at like, I think it's gonna be midnight UK, Karen. So if you wanna, I'd be happy to do a live stream with you. It is a Saturday night, so.
Hey, okay, you're on. Just I'll put it in. What date was it?
The 19th.
19th.
Yeah.
Okay, it's in my diary. Flat.
It's about midnight UK. We'll probably get started maybe a little before.
Cool.
And we'll probably go until
That's brilliant.
like
well, we
6 a.m. UK, probably.
We can
I don't
talk.
know. I mean, that's how long I'll probably be out there. So anyway, that's what I got going on. Not a whole other than that. Just hanging out at Poncho Pete's, talking about everything over there. Usually late at night when you guys are all sleeping. So.
Yeah, being that you're 8 hours behind us, it's what is it for you?
And we got the eclipse coming up on the 20th, a lunar eclipse, which I'm gonna try to. I'm trying to get a telephoto lens for my phone that can zoom in on the moon. They have them out there. They got like I don't know, equivalent of like a 2,000 millimeter lens you can put on your phone, and it's almost like a P900 for your phone, and it's just a little clip-on lens. So I'm looking at getting one of those and maybe doing a live stream of the eclipse on the 20th.
One of those then.
It's a lunar eclipse, yeah.
Now, how much is the lens onto the phone?
They think they're around $100. They start around there, I think.
Because I bought a telescope thing for my phone. It's quite good, but the telescope thing is so big, and then when it zooms in on the moon, it's like you can almost hardly keep the phone still because you need now a tripod for the phone.
You have to have a tripod when you're zoomed in that far, absolutely. Otherwise, the slightest movement will just, shake the whole screen, the whole picture.
I've got this thing pointed out, and I'm going like, "Where's the moon?"
So looking forward to the lunar eclipse. I'll be, at minimum, I'll have my P900, getting some video. Who knows? We might see some phenomena that we can't explain, but might see some transits. Who knows? Yeah.
Hopefully
it'll be a clear night. Hopefully. You guys over there are going to be able to see it as well. We're all going to see this eclipse. So I don't know. It's a pretty big area that's going to see it.
Well, we'll see it if it's not cloudy.
Right, if it's not cloudy, exactly.
Because we're cloudy here all the time. Are you cloudy down in Torquay?
It's always cloudy. Every eclipse that's ever happened, I've never seen it. It's just always cloudy.
You got to drive somewhere where it's going to be clear.
Well, I did that. We had, what was it, like the 2000 eclipse or so, and I drove down to Cornwall. He said, the best place to see this will be Cornwall. So we went down there, we camped there, and it was overcast and cloudy. You couldn't see nothing other than the whole place went pitch black. Yeah, but I found out that it was really good here in Torquay.
No.
But I've never seen it properly.
Well, maybe you'll catch this one.
I saw it. I was in Hungerford when that happened, and we all went into the garden and went, whoa, and it is really eerie because obviously there's birds don't make a noise because it's got dark, and there's just that silence for a few minutes. Everything
a solar eclipse, yeah, those are.
Anyway, great, Flat Earth dude. We'll talk.
All right, cool. Thanks.
If I say goodbye on air, and then we say goodbye to each other off air. To everybody in the chat room, I hope you've enjoyed the boys' night, and lots of interesting stuff from conferences to your insides. So thank you very much, everybody, and we're back on Thursday. So see everybody on Thursday, and thank you very much, panel. Mwah.
Cheers.